powered by the Zapata brand studio. Straight Outta JerZey with JerZey JZ. Today's guest is one of the world's strongest powerlifters in the world. He held records for curling 150 pounds with one arm. He's a former actor and YouTube personality on RX Muscle. Straight Outta JerZey welcomes Jimmy the Bull Pellechia.
Jimmy, welcome back.
What's going on, brother? That's a nice introduction you got there.
That's
like
right. Everybody's been waiting for you for part 2.
Yeah.
Welcome
nice.
back, man. So where you were leading off with a story of talking about when you were over in California working at the gym. Remember you were talking about that? What happened over there? How did you get into RX Muscle? I mean, to Metric. I think you were talking about that bullshit.
So first, I just want to touch base on something.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
I heard you had Ed Connors on as a guest.
I did have Ed Connors on.
Yeah.
He said a lot of great things about you, but a lot of things, a lot of damage was done in his home because of you.
Yeah. I've heard like many stories where I've done, and nothing. I love Ed. He was very kind to me.
Mm-hmm.
He opened up his home to me. He took me from Venice Beach to Santa Monica to Upland down to Palm Springs.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted me to stay. He wanted me to check Upland, California out.
Okay.
I was hanging with Jimmy out there too, but
Jimmy Quinn.
Yeah. That's really one of the main reasons why I went out there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Jimmy kept telling me, "Come out here, train with me. Come out here." I said, "All right, you know what? I'll come." So I did, and he introduced me to Ed, and I stayed at Ed's place in Venice. He probably told you, I don't know.
Yeah. How long did you stay there for? How long did you stay?
I left his garage open. I think I was a year and a half total in California. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, being the Italian that I am, I started missing my grandmother and my mother. And I was out there a year and a half. I made a lot of friends, but the bottom line was, I'm family oriented, Joe. So, and my grandmother was getting old,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, what the hell am I doing out here? My grandmother's getting old, and my mom and my brother, and I'm like, what? I met a lot of flakes too in California, besides nice people. But there are flakes everywhere. There's a lot of flakes in New York now too, by the way. But so I got on a plane and went home eventually. But Ed was very nice. He extended his grace to me.
Yeah,
and,
he said you did some damage, and actually, I don't know if you could see this. I'm going to post this. Hold on.
Well, he's got pictures of the damage.
No, but we were talking. We were talking about the Barbarian Brothers, and he sent me an email. And the email, I don't know if you could see this, but I posted it right here.
Yeah.
He says that in his Palm Springs, when I met Jimmy Pellechia, I think $5,000 worth of damage.
Wait a minute. So wait a minute now. Back it up. What does the Barbarian Brothers got to do with that?
We were talking about that. There's me and Ed Connors, by the way.
What was that?
That's me and Ed Connors on the screen. That was me and Ed. See?
Oh. Yeah. I see him now. Wow, he got old.
Okay.
Shit.
We were talking about the Barbarian Brothers.
Oh.
And your name came up when we were talking about them because you were animals like him.
Well, I trained with David. I was just telling Dave that the other day. When I met Dave, I did that bench press out there. I'm gonna get back to the Ed Connor story in a minute.
Okay.
So, as soon as I came out there, I started meeting a lot of people because I was an animal. Yeah, I'm gonna say it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I trained in that gym, I caught a lot of attention, and David was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we started to talk a little bit in the gym, in Gold's Gym, in Venice. And we agreed to like train together a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, make a long story short, his girlfriend, I liked her a lot. She had a lot of she was Spanish, but she had high energy,
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing back together. We were going like pound for pound, like we just kept this this particular row machine in California in Gold's Gym it was a 400-pound stack, right?
Okay.
And me and Dave kept loading it up, and we were just going at it, and we did the whole back work. And then his girlfriend was like, David, with the Spanish accent, David, you finally met somebody as strong as you, and I think that really burned David up, you know what I mean? Because he didn't want to hear that, So, but it was a good thing, because it was positive, even though it probably got to him a little bit, But so then we just trained. We trained together like every day while I was up in Venice, And I was staying with a girlfriend of mine in Santa Monica at the time, and he used to come to the house. It was like a second floor apartment, and he would pull up in a Volkswagen. It beeped the horn, doop, 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 doop. It was a little fucking piece of shit car. And I used to come downstairs. And we got in the Volkswagen. We couldn't even fit in the Volkswagen together. Like our shoulders were hitting the door and each other, in this Volkswagen. And then we went to the gym, and we trained hard, man. Really, really fucking hard, And
Mm-hmm.
I got close with David, I really did. So people used to watch us training in the gym, you know.
Really?
Yeah, because we did, we did some hardcore, some hardcore workouts,
Mm-hmm.
But what's this guy saying? Tell the
They
broad.
said, tell the story about the broad you used to bang in the horse stable.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of stories, man.
You got a lot of fucking stories. Yes. And
Anyway, all right. So I'm going to talk about Ed. I want to finish up the David the Pool,
go ahead.
the stable. All right, that was more of an arrangement. The stable.
The arrangement.
What
Okay.
did you say? Tell us something about it. It's the
Yeah.
same.
You go ahead.
Yeah. So when I was in the height of my training, I used to get injuries and joints hurt, because I trained heavy all the time.
Okay.
So this girl I knew from a friend of mine, she worked in the horse stables at night, and I told her that I had elbow issues and this and that. She said, "Listen, why don't you come up to the stable, tonight? Come like around 12 a.m." She says, I got a concoction that I'll make up for you. It was called Butte.
Okay.
It was a horse aspirin, and no exaggeration, it looked like a hockey puck. And she used to grind it up and mix it with this solvent that just would suck into your skin. I forget the name of the solvent, but so she would do it in the thing, crush up the aspirin and the solution, and then she would like rub it on my. And what happened was the solution that she used, I can't remember the name, man. It used to suck the aspirin, which is Butte, into the joint. It was. I mean, you couldn't get that at a doctor.
Okay.
The shit was amazing. They used it on vinyl records. I forget the fucking. It was a cleaning solution, but when she mixed it with the Butte and crushed it up, and it turned it looked like a watery aspirin kind of, and then she wiped it on the joint, and it would suck right into the joint, and my arm would, I was able to move it again, but
You saying it's DMSO? DMSO?
Yeah. That's it. How'd you know that?
It says it right here. Iron Tainment says that.
Oh yeah, good call, man. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. DSMO, yeah, that's what it was. But don't mind me, man. I'm getting old. So she crushed it up, with the Butte, and stuff worked fantastic. And so she used to make me up a couple of jars, but she liked me at the time, and I wasn't really interested in her, but I was, in the middle of my career. She was helping my joints, and I tell you the truth, the stuff worked amazing, And the trade-off was I had a banger in the stables. That's what she wanted. She wanted me to, do her in the horse stable. So I had to take one for the team. You know, I had to take for my elbow. I had to do what I had to do. In those days, I did what it took. You know what I mean? And yeah, I used to go at it in a horse stable, and the horses, like the horse next door, would go nuts. He'd go some, I don't know. I guess they sensed it or whatever. I don't know. So I was, it was crazy, So I get
Mm,
all the horses were going nuts in the stable, you know.
wow.
I felt like a werewolf in the middle of the night, You know what I mean? So anyway, I had to do that. Like I don't know. It lasted like maybe a few months. When I ran out of this stuff, I had to go back, and I was like, oh my god, I got to do this again, But that's just, I was single, That's what I did, to
Her
get
name
this.
Karen or Kareen? Kareen?
What
Is
was
that
it?
her name? It's Karen, by the way, Jimmy.
Karen?
This is what it says. Somebody says that. I don't know.
Really? That was the
Yeah,
girl's name?
I don't know. It says it's Kareen. By the way, Jimmy.
Shit, I hope that ain't her. I don't know what the hell her name was, but if it was Karen, I guess it was Karen.
No,
I don't know.
that's my name, Joe. The person says that's my name, Joe. So Kareen, Karen. That's what the person.
Quran?
Karan, do you know Karan?
No, I don't know
I don't
Quran.
know.
No, that's
Okay.
that's not the
Okay.
girl. That's not the girl I did in the stable, is it?
Okay.
All right.
I guess.
Wait, what did you say? Tell a confession story when you what? Was single again
Yeah,
and went.
and went crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of those stories, man.
All those stories too, huh?
The Confessions was a great show, man. I don't
It
know what
was a great
happened.
show.
Yeah, me and Lee were going at it really strong, and Tyler was in the background. He read the confessions,
Mm-hmm.
and the introduction was fantastic. The way Tyler did that with
Mm-hmm.
the confession booth and the crows on the tree, and
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I really liked it. I used to play it and put it on my Bose speaker, to listen to it. It had the organ going in the background. I was like some spooky movie, that whole thing that he made.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, but did you ever see the introduction?
Yes, I did. It was very good. Very good.
It was Tyler did a really good job of that. But so what happened was, I guess, Lee was traveling a lot at the time. He had to go to Italy, and he went to Spain, and so we had to keep postponing the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tyler got busy. I don't know. I think his girlfriend, or his fiance, I think she got pregnant. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There was a lot of components going on there, and it kind of delayed the show. And then we ended up really, we couldn't do it anymore, at the time. So,
Mm-hmm.
but me, Lee and I talk about it every once in a while. Raising it back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of fun on that.
This person wants to know, Jimmy, what style of martial arts did you study?
So the martial arts, that started in the Marine Corps. So what happened was, when I was down in Carolina, Camp Lejeune, one of the Marines was a Korean, descent,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know what you call it, nationality, whatever. So I started taking Taekwondo with him, if like $10 a month. So I started doing Taekwondo,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that for a while with him. And then when I came home, I was training this gym called Rab's Health Club, and it was Richie Barrety. I don't know if you ever heard of Richie Barrety.
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was on the Johnny Carson show.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He broke
And he broke the brick or something.
yeah, he broke 17 slabs of granite on fire,
Yep.
and his gi caught on fire, and they had to put him out with fire extinguishers. And Johnny Carson was, he was petrified because of lawsuits and all that at the time,
Mm-hmm.
because Richie used real gas.
Oh, Jesus.
Today they use like pyrotech gel, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Richie used the mobile high test. So he was really in flames. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I love Richie to death. So then, yeah. So one day I was training in Rabs. Me and Jimmy were training there,
Mm-hmm.
and it was half a dojo and half a gym, but it was a hardcore gym. And the Confessori's trained there, Chris and his brother
Okay.
Neil.
Okay.
Chris broke many bench records. They trained there. Freeman McNeil trained there. Jerry Cooney was training there. Mark Gastineau was training there. Because Richie was tied in with all these people, you know. So these are the kind of people that were training there. You know, we're all just the regular folks too, in the neighborhood. So I used to actually train on the dojo. I used to kick his bag, you know.
Oh, okay.
And so, make a long story short, when I first started training there, one afternoon, Richie came over to me, and this is when I first met him, and I was doing dumbbell curls. I used to actually hang on to this leg machine, Joe, and take a 120 dumbbell or whatever, and I used to hang on to the machine and then just swing the 120. Like I didn't even care how it looked like. I just wanted to get it, just swing it up in the air. You know, I was doing those 150s, and that's how I started getting into that dumbbell curl. By hanging on to a machine and just winging it. You know what I mean? Because I just wanted to. My thing was always I wanted to be strong. I really didn't give a shit. Really, I didn't want to be a bodybuilder. You know, I just wanted to be able to turn cars over. You know, when I was out in the clubs drinking. You know.
Now, how long did you take steroids for? Did you take steroids for a long time or no?
Yeah, it's like when I started, I was in Florida actually. I just finished up the Marine Corps reserves down in Florida, and I was training in the gym down there, you know, and in West Palm Beach. And what is he saying? This guy Tyler went what?
Tyler was funny. Everybody just kind of fit in on that show. That was a good show.
Oh, it was a great show. It was really a great show. We used to go 3 hours strong.
Yeah.
Dave used to call me up and goes, "What the hell are you guys talking about for 3 hours?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. You know, people writing confessions immediately talk about it. You know, I mean, like it just went long. You know,
just went long. People wanted to talk.
But so anyway, I was finished up the Marine Corps. I was in Florida. I was like 22, 23 years old, and I'm training in the gym. I used to work for a concrete company, doing curb and gutter. You know, I always broke my ass, Joe. You know, that's why I'm crippled today, because I worked very hard my whole life. Everything to me was labor. You know, and not that I'm bitching about it. That's just what I do. You know, I'm a physical type of guy. I'm not an office worker, or I'm a field guy. You know what I mean? So I'm training in the gym. I came in. You know, I used to go in the gym there, full of concrete on my jeans and my shoes, and I used to just train, really hard, So there was some guys in there, and they came over to me one day and they go, "Yo, Jimmy," because they got friendly with me, They said, "Jimmy, man, you taking anything?" I go, "Taking what?" I had no idea. I was very green. Like any, you take a dietable or any kind of stuff. I said, "No, I ain't fucking taking no steroids, man." And the guy was like, "Yo, if you took some shit, man, you'd be a fucking animal, right?" I'm like, and being who I was at the time, I'm like, "Really?" I said, "Well, maybe I'll check it out." You know what I mean? I said, anything to get stronger. I didn't care, So, so eventually, when I went back to New York, Jimmy Quinn was the first one really to get me going on it, because he has some friends that were got it back then. It was it wasn't like today, Joe. It was back then. It was like testosterone, dianabol, Anadrol. I mean, it was really, there was no exotic shit back in those days, man.
Yeah.
So
at Bull for Life, says Jimmy, you still work out. Any suggestions what to do for an older age? At an older age, Bull for Life.
So what is it, Jimmy? Do I still
Jimmy,
work
you
out?
still work out. Any suggestions what to do for at older age? At an older age, what do you do?
So, I don't really train as heavy as I used to train. I definitely push, but I suggest, especially when you get older, I don't do anything really full range. Okay, so I would cut out any kind of full range, a strict form shit. I would cut that right out. Okay, I would do a medium kind of weight, like bench press, do like a half, 3/4 rep, any kind of curl, use body momentum, dumbbells, triceps, everything's body momentum, and a I'm not saying a partial rep like this, you know what I mean? I'm talking, you don't have to go full, and high repetitions,
Yeah.
semi-heavy, medium kind of weight, and then work your way down to a lightweight, and then increase the repetitions, like, to get the blood in the muscle. So that's what and one body part a day. You don't
One
need
month.
4 hours. Yeah, you don't need 4 hours in the gym. Like, years ago when you used to read the magazines, the guy said he was training for 10 hours a day in the gym. That's bullshit. Okay,
Mhm.
you train an hour max, 45 minutes. You do one body part. If you're gonna do a double, you go home. If you don't work, if you're retired, you train in the morning. You go home, you eat, take a nap, you go run around, whatever, and then you go back at night and you do another body part if you want to do
Mhm.
something like that.
Okay,
Um,
that's
yeah,
pretty
and
good.
I would do one body part a day, once a week. So you don't
Wow.
do chest, and don't do multi body parts. Like these people go in the gym and they doing back and chest and buys and trying to do all these. I'm looking at them like, what's this guy doing? He's doing an entire week's workout in a day. I mean, you can't do something like that. You have
Mhm.
to segregate the body parts. It's the best way to do it.
Yep.
You get more benefit out of it. You get the better growth, better breakdown because you're concentrating on one muscle.
Mhm.
And if you do two body parts, I mean, I don't know if everybody agrees with me, but this is what I did. I believe like if I trained my biceps, I wouldn't do buys and tries that day because I'm training buys and I'm breaking the muscle down and I'm getting all the blood in there. And
Mhm.
now I'm going to do triceps and all the blood's going to go from the bicep back into the tricep and start healing the tricep, and it deprives the bicep of the blood. So that was my theory on my training. I don't know if that works for everybody else, but that's what I believed. I believe keep the blood in one spot. When you tear it down and you get the pump. The pump is the blood getting in that area. That's why you get the pump, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I mean that's what pumps the muscle. So if you're doing biceps, halfway through the workout, your biceps getting pumped. And you're like, holy shit! It's the blood healing the muscle. That's what it is. You're tearing it down.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't recommend doing triceps right the same day because then the blood starts to go back there. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
that's my theory. I mean,
That's it.
everybody's different,
Everyone's
but
different. D-
that's
DQ Rep says old guys do the best on a mix of Andro and Tren. You never did Tren. If you did Tren, you
so
killed somebody.
you know I heard a lot about Trent. I mean, believe it or not, my cardiologist offered me Trent just a few weeks ago.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it, Jimmy.
No, he was like, this is my cardiologist, man. I'm there thinking I'm getting a fucking heart attack. This guy's offering me Trent. So I'm like, wait a minute, hold it, doc. I says, Trent? He says, oh yeah. He goes, my patients love it, man. They get a fucking woody, man. He goes, I said, yeah, but this very toxic, I heard. He goes, yeah, you can't stay on it long.
What the fuck?
I'm like, well, I don't want nothing like that at my age, man. You know what I mean? I want to do something mild and just, you know,
Mhm.
just heal. Listen, these days I'm just looking to train for health.
Yes.
I'm not really in the mind train to get big. I
Mhm.
did that. Um, Now it's more for health, staying in shape at my age. I mean, I have a lot of friends my age. They look like hell. And it's not. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they don't train. They eat like shit. They look like shit. And I don't want to. I don't want to look like that at my age. I want to still, when I walk into a mall or a deli, people look at me and say, "Man, he's got a decent build. He looks good." You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
if they happen to ask my age and I tell them, they're like, "Holy shit! I thought you were 50." You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
to me, that's an accomplishment. I like to hear that. So
You still look great, Jimmy. I mean, you're a little bit beat up from the heavy weight, but you.
yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, I did. You know what it is, Joe? I did physical labor my whole life,
Mhm.
and I trained extremely heavy. Even Chris Cormier said I probably trained a little too long, too heavy, too long.
Mhm.
I probably should have stopped the heavy training like when I was 40, in my 40s. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I didn't. So I loved pushing the weight. And
Mhm.
I remember I did a seminar and Chris Cormier showed up. We were in Bayshore somewhere. Chris probably remembers it. It was an upstairs gym. I forget the name of it. And I was doing a seminar there. I was doing the seated 150s, right? So I met Chris because I know Chris for a long time, and I haven't seen him in a while. So
Yeah, actually, says Joe, get Chris and Jimmy on together. Yes, we do got to get Chris and Jimmy on. Chris,
Chris is we got some good stories together, Chris
hmm
and me.
yeah,
But I remember Chris walking over to me. We hugged hello, and because I haven't seen him since California.
hmm
This seminar was in Bayshore, Long Island. So he comes over to me. He goes, "Yo, man," he goes, "You still doing this shit?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm still." You know what I mean? I was like, because he couldn't believe I'm still doing the 150s. Like this is years later. You know what I mean? Even David Paul told me, that I should calm down on the weight. You know what I mean? And because I went for a long time.
hmm
Because I could. And but yeah, it beat me up, man. I was just telling Dave the other day that I went to the doctor. He's telling me that I'm probably gonna need a shoulder replacement.
Oof.
Um, because it's he told me the ball in the socket. So the ball is out of round. It looks like an egg. It's like
hmm
oval shaped. So if I lift my arm, I can't lift it all the way because the out of shape, whatever. So I says, all right, I says, yeah. I says, well, when do you think I need, the shoulder replacement? He goes, well, probably, maybe a year. He goes, you're going to need it. I says, really? I says, so then he gave me the test. I had to push his hands in, push him out,
hmm
up, down. I was pushing him all over the place. He goes, you're pretty strong still. I says, yeah. He goes, I got to say, at your age, you're not really complaining about pain. I said, I got my share of pain. I said, but I don't complain about it. He
hmm
says, yeah. He goes, you're still pretty good. I got guys younger than you coming here begging me for surgery. I go, yeah, well, that's not going to be me. I'm never going to beg you for surgery, bro. I said, I says, well, hypothetically, if I get the shoulder replacement, I said, what's going to happen? I'm going to be like the Bionic Man. I'm going to lift even more and train. He's like, no, not really. He goes, you're not going to be able to train anymore. I says, really? With the
Oof.
shoulder replacement, I'm not going to be able to train anymore. He goes, no. I said, well, what kind of weight can I lift if I train? He said, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. I said, get the fuck out of here. I said, listen, man, I'll never get shoulder replacement. I'll train till the cows come home. I said,
hmm
thank you very much. I said, but there's no shoulder replacement for me. It ain't
hmm
happening. So I
Yeah.
walked out of there. Then I told Dave about it. Dave told me he's got a guy because he had 2 shoulder replacements.
hmm
And he said he's training pretty good in the gym. He don't go as heavy as me, but
No.
he's still training. He ain't doing no 15-pound dumbbell.
hmm
So I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. I'll never go to him.
You still look like you can lift heavy weight. I mean, when I shake your hand, you can tell it's like concrete. You got that iron grip.
I got that mitt, right? I
Yeah,
know.
you
Yeah,
do.
yeah. I mean, part of that is genetic. My father, my grandfather had big hands. My brother does too. So
hmm
yeah, we got that. I just shook some guy's hand earlier this evening,
hmm
and his eyes lit up when I grabbed his hand and I shook his hand. As he took like a step back, because I do have that overwhelming grip. You know what I mean? But I don't
hmm
try to do it on purpose. I do a firm grip. I don't try to crush you. I'm not a dick.
hmm
I just do a firm grip. I mean, my hand is very callous. It's chapped.
hmm
It's like alligator skin to begin with. And then it's thick. My hand is very thick. So
hmm The dude wants to
uh,
know bush or no bush. You like bush or no bush?
no, I don't like bush, man. That's like a flavor saver, man. I can't do that. That's like yeah. I've been with women like that in the past, man. It's disgusting, bro. It's disgusting. I mean, especially if you go down on her and then you get up, you got hair in your fucking teeth. You pick it out, and they got the urine smell up your nose, and it's bad. Yeah, no bush, no bush.
hmm They say
So
Joe's convinced Jimmy to get some deep tissue.
yeah, I had a girl do that to me one time. I think it was Dave's guy. It was Dave's masseuse. Is that what you call it, a masseuse?
Yeah, masseuse.
Yeah.
hmm
So Dave turned me on to this girl back in the day,
Okay.
and she did deep tissue, right?
Okay.
But I'm like a piece of lumber, Joe. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I
you
laid on
are.
the table. I mean, I'm laying there stiff as shit. And she was doing the deep massage, like in the shoulder. Let me tell you something, man. That shit was painful, So
hmm
she did it. She did the chest. She was rubbing the chest out, and
hmm
I was seeing stars, bro. I didn't want to, I wanted to be a man. I didn't want to show her the pain that she was giving me. So I was kind of like sucking it up, but she was really, it hurt like hell, So needless to say, that was the last massage I ever did, man, because that shit hurt too much, man. I was like, you know what? I'll stay stiff the way I am. Fuck it, I ain't doing no more massages, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was probably good for me because actually they say when you stretch and you get massage, it helps growth with the muscle and
Yeah.
flexibility and all of that. But you know what? I was never really a flexible guy anyway. So I
Hmm.
was like, you know what? This stage of the game, I'll just stay the way I am, stiff. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Do you miss
I
the
mean,
old days with the gym and stuff? All the stuff with the guys and everything?
say it again.
Do you miss the gym atmosphere back in the day? Do you miss that?
Yes, I do. Uh, Back in the day, of course, I'm not. Listen, every generation changes, right, Joe? My mother's generation was different.
Hmm.
Our generation is different, and today's generation is definitely different. Um, I go to gyms now with my training partner,
Hmm.
and I don't see the same kind of guy, in there. So um, I don't see anybody training with heart. There's a couple here and there, but nothing like back in the day. Back in the day, when you walked in the gym,
Hmm.
especially when I was living in California, everybody was training hard, man. I mean, you could see it. You look around and people are pushing, doing legs, presses. Everybody's going animal, right? I'm like, this is the place I want to be. Had great
Hmm.
energy,
Hmm.
and then, when you see people training like that, you want to put your best foot, you want to train all out too, because, this is what you're seeing and, it just goes with the turf. But
Not
today,
today. Not today. Everyone's got the phone out, looking at the phone, looking at this.
yeah. What is this
No.
guy saying?
He says, "Hi,
Infections.
Joe. Can you tell Jimmy that his attitude is infectious? No matter what he's going through, he always has a smile on his face."
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, one
That's
time
true.
I got locked up, I was laughing in the cop car. The guy was like, "What are you laughing about, man? You're going to jail." I was like, "I don't know, it's funny to me, you know what I mean?" But anyway, so I did the movie with Chuck Zito, you know that, right? Honor Amongst Men.
Oh yeah, that's right. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the scene, I did many scenes with Chuck Zito. Chuck, he's a hardcore guy, Chuck.
Hmm.
He's no nonsense. He really is. I like Chuck. Matter of fact, when I first met him, I was riding my Harley and I had the vest. He created this vest. It was called Satan's Few, right? And it had like the devil's head, Satan's Few. It had a rocker underneath. I mean, it looked like a Hell's Angels cut, you know.
Okay.
And even the Hell's Angels colors. So
Mm.
I was on my way to the movie set, and I wore my vest on the bike on the way to the. I was in Oceanside, I think, or something like that. And I was coming from out east, so it was a
Mhm.
good 40-minute ride, whatever. So I get to the movie set, and Chuck was there. I rolled up on the bike, and Chuck goes, "I just met him, Joe."
Okay.
He's like, "Yo, where's your vest?" I had it in the bag. I was wearing my vest, which was actually Dave's vest. He gave it to me. It used to say RX Muscle on. It was a nice
Okay.
vest.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I wore that vest, and he goes, "Where's your vest?" Excuse me, how you doing? I said, the vest is in my saddlebag. He
Okay.
goes, how come you're not wearing the vest? I said, with all due respect, Chuck, I'm not going to ride on the LA on the Long Island Expressway with a vest on that looks like Hell's Angels vest. you know, I don't know what I'm going to encounter on the way on the expressway. I mean, the Mongols could shoot me. I mean, anything could, the pagans could run me off the road. I said, all due respect, I'm not wearing like a look-alike Hell's Angels vest, because from a distance it looked like a Hell's Angels vest. And
Hmm.
I got nothing against clubs. I have friends in the clubs, but I'm not in the club, and I didn't want to wear this vest. I'll wear it
Hmm.
on the movie set. I didn't want to wear it on the expressway. So
Your luck, you'd be shot.
what was that?
Your luck, you would be shot.
Yeah, shot or run off the road, or I mean, a van to pull up and the doors slide open, to stop machine gunning me on the bike. I don't know. I visualized all this stuff. I'm like, I'm not wearing the vest.
Hmm.
So then he saw like I tore some patches off,
Hmm.
and he's like, what was on there? I don't know, maybe he thought I was in another club or something. I said, this said RX Muscle. I took it off, but you could see where it was, you know what I mean? So he's like, RX Muscle? He goes, you do the show with them? I go, yeah. I say, he goes, Mel Clancy? I go, yeah, I know Mel Clancy, of course. He goes, tell Mel I said hello, blah, blah, blah. So almost that like broke the ice between me and him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we became very friendly after that. We did the movie and
Mm-hmm.
so back to the laughing thing. I'm in the clubhouse that they made,
Okay.
and I in the movie, if you've watched the movie, an undercover cop played as a biker, and I got close with this guy, not knowing he was undercover.
Mm-hmm.
And I invited him to my house. He ate dinner with my family because he was a club member, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was undercover. I didn't know in the movie.
The movie.
So Chuck found out, and and we were in the clubhouse, and he was doing his whole little bit, his speech and stuff. And then he was going to shoot us. Is what he's going to do. So he leaned on one of the bikers and he reached into the biker's vest. Not him. One of the bikers. He reached in his vest and he pulled the gun out and he shot the undercover guy. Yeah. Did you see the movie?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah. So he shot him, and then he put the gun on me, right? And I'm like, his name was Frank in the movie. I'm like, Frank, what are you out of your mind? I says, what are you doing? And he goes, you invited the cop into the club. I said, I had no idea. I had the guy at my dinner table with my family, blah, blah, blah. And I was laughing when I was doing the part, So so Chuck stopped the scene, and he's telling the director, he goes, he keeps laughing. Joe, I couldn't get the smile off my face, man. I don't know if it's a nervous thing or what, but I just kept. So we did the scene again, and there I was. I was smiling again, doing the scene. I said, Frank, I'm laughing. He's like, so he stopped the scene again. He goes, he keeps laughing. He keeps laughing. So I really had to concentrate on not laughing. So I said, all right, Chuck, let's do the scene one more time. So then we did it, and I really concentrated. I had to really take that smile off my face,
Mm-hmm.
And then he shot me, and I went back on the chair, and I fell on the floor, and
Did you like the acting? You like acting? The acting?
Yeah, I did a few movies, man. I did Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Dave auditioned for that too.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bunch of us who auditioned for that. I got the part,
Mm-hmm.
and I filmed with Jim Carrey, Tommy
Mm-hmm.
Lee Jones,
Wow.
and Nicole Kidman, and Val Kilmer was Batman in that movie.
Yes.
And Jim Carrey was the Riddler. Harvey Two-Face was
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Yes, yeah. So it
What
was a
your
night.
part?
My part, I was one of the henchmen. So this is what sucks about the whole movie. So we were told to report at Webster. It was a naval institute called Webster, right? I was in Glen Cove. So I reported in to film, and I go to the trailer, the costume trailer, and the girls handing out the costume, putting earrings in me and leathers and all this shit, and I'm like, this is great, man. This Joel Schumacher directed this. This was a big movie, man. This was no bullshit. It was for me. It was huge. I did like these lower budget movies. The Night Never Sleeps. That was another movie I did. Then I did Cage Fury with Richie Barity. I filmed that. And believe it or not, I filmed that in a porno studio in California. Ron Jeremy was there. Believe it or not, he walked in with like 3 girls on each, in his arms. Like the guy's like a hairy little bastard. He looked like a possum. What the hell did the girl see in this guy? But he came in with all these porn stars, and we were filming in this porno studio. And I was in a fight scene, right? So I'm telling Richie, I said, this is great, man. I said, all my life I've been fighting in bars, right? This is the first time I'm fighting in a bar, and I'm getting paid for it, and I'm enjoying myself, right? I said, this. I'm loving this shit, I'm getting paid to beat the shit out of these guys. This is great, But so Richie ended up putting Ron Jeremy in a hospital. He gave him a spinning back kick, hit him in the chest, and he went flying into the wall. And he went down, and he He started crying like a little baby, and they had to take him to the hospital. I think Richie cracked a rib or two. I think Richie did it on purpose, but I don't think Richie liked him either. But Eric Estrada was there, so Eric Estrada was on the set with us.
Oh wow!
You know, he used to pull up in his giant yellow Rolls Royce with these spin-looking things on his wheels. I don't know, and it was all like bumblebee yellow, and he was pulling up in his Rolls Royce, you know, with the girls in his car. I'm like, oh my God, man, this, you know.
Jesus Christ!
I went to one of the parties. Richie took me there. It was in Pasadena, California. So Richie goes, because I met. So what happened was when I flew out to California, I ended up in Palm Springs in Ed's condo that I destroyed.
Yeah, you destroyed.
And, yeah. First it was $20,000 worth of damage. Then it went down to, I don't know, 10,000.
He said 6,000.
Now it's down to 6,000. I had friends coming down from LA, man, you know, and they used to love coming to my condo, man, because it was Palm Springs. We used to go out to Hot Springs to this place called Red Chili Peppy or Hot something. I don't know what it was. A big club. We used to go, and then we used to go to this club Zelda's. It was up the stairs, and it was a big disco, you know, with the mirror ball and the lights, and you know, and my friends used to come out from Venice because I met a lot of people in Gold's Gym. You know, I made a lot of friends, Joe. You know, I always had like the charisma personality where people just get attracted to me and they like hanging out with me. I don't know what it is, but that's the way it is. Anyway, they used to come down and we always used to hang out and party. You know, we went to this one hotel. I'll never forget it. It had a homemade, a man-made beach. You sit on the sand and the waves would come in, you know, and we would sit there and drink cocktails all weekend, you know, and like, but anyway, like, you know, Ed's place, we got a little rowdy one night. I think we were wrestling. We got bombed. I used to work for this hotel called Stouffer's Emeralda. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
No.
But they're really high-end hotels. And this one happened to be being built in Hot Springs, California, not far from where I live. I got the job there. And I was laying marble in this giant atrium, you know, in the entrance to this place. So anyway, it was a Friday. I'm getting off work, and I'm driving my car. I had to rent the car. I rented a Mustang convertible. I'm driving home, and I was jacked. I had my shirt off. I'm driving the car, and I'm heading home. And I'm at the light, and all of a sudden, this car pulls up with like 4 girls in it. They had a convertible too. I don't know what it was. I think it was a BMW or something. And they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and I'm just sitting at the light, you know. And they're like, "This is California, bro. Only this shit happens in California." And they were like, "Where you going?" And I says, "I'm going home." You know. She goes, "Can we come? You want to hang out?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "You know," I said, "I'm going home." She goes, "Well, we'll follow you." I said, "Okay." And, you know, and this was a Friday. I knew my friends were coming down. So I kind of wanted to surprise them, you know, you know. So they ended up, my friends came. There was 4 girls there. And we were all drinking. Then we went out to the club that night. I mean, we were like, forget it, partying. And I did a seminar for Gold's Gym with Lou Ferrigno. I'll never forget it. I just got there. I was training in the gym. And the owner saw me benching. I was with Richie. I remember Richie had a chicken place. I didn't even know Richie was there, man. I got to California, Palm Springs, and I asked everybody in the gym, where did they go to eat? And they told me this chicken place, right? All the bodybuilders go there. I says, you know, let me check it out. So I went to this chicken place, and I walk in. There's Richie, you know. And I'm like, "Richie, what the fuck are you doing here?" He goes, "What are you, Jimmy?" We're hugging each other. I haven't seen him. I love Richie to death. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm filming a movie out here, Cage Fury." He goes, "You're going to be in it." I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay." You know, so that's, you know, that's how I met Richie. And Richie was staying at a little shitty hotel. So Richie moved in my house because I was like, "Yo, fuck that hotel." First of all, we wrecked it. One night we went in there. And we were drinking and smoking and everything, and we just started doing martial arts in the hotel room, and we're kicking the fucking lamps and the walls, and fucking going nuts in the room. The place is destroyed. So Richie's like, "Yo, I gotta get out of here." I says, "Come to my house. Fuck this place, man." So he came to my house, you know. But
Ed said he came home to his house. Door was like off the hinges.
Yeah, the door got broke. Yeah.
Beer all over the place. People laying down, look like dead bodies all over the place, passed out.
Yeah, it's true.
He said people he never even knew is walking around in his house.
What happened was, and no disrespect to Ed, we were partying. I gotta admit it. I always trained heavy. I was a warrior, bro. I partied like like a Viking. You drinking from the horn. And being an animal. That's the kind of guy I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
So I think what happened was my friends locked me out of the fucking house, and everybody was in it. The girls, the guys, they're all partying. So being the bull I am, I backed up and I ran into the fucking door, and it came off the hinges and shit. So what I did that night, I just took the door, because it came off the hinges, and I just kind of stuck it, in the hole for the night. You know what I mean? So, but I had to get the carpenter there next day, But anyway, make a long story short, these girls, the next morning, everybody was hungover and shit. I got up. And I'm like, where the hell is everybody? And so I went to the public pool. We had like these pools on each corner of the place. And I go in the back, and there's the girls. Now, this is an older community. Don't mind. This is like older gentlemen with their wives. They're sitting poolside with a newspaper, having their coffee, Sunday morning, maybe opera music playing, real conservative people,
Yeah.
I go in the back. And there they are, man. All the girls are on rafts, the rubber rafts, no tops on, G-strings. They're floating around in the pool. And all I did was walk in the back. I looked around like this, Joe, and I said, I'm out of here, man. I made a U-turn and I left. I wanted no part of it at that time, So at that point, my friends were dealing with it, so I left and let them. Then everybody, when I left, I left for the day. I went to the gym. I went to go eat. By the time I got back, everybody was gone. So,
okay.
You
should have bought Ed's house. You should have bought that house.
So that's the other thing. Ed wanted to sell it to me, man. I should have really bought it, because I think at the time he only wanted like 90,000 for the thing.
Wow.
And it was on Ramon. It was called the Ramon Racket Club, and it was off Palm Canyon Drive. It was down the middle of Palm Springs, right at the end of the mountain, And it's funny because I was just telling Dave that story. That one night I used to go to Zelda's all the time. It was a really, really happening nightclub. Packed, It was very popular. And one night I got bombed, and being the nut job I am, I started going climbing. I started going up the mountain in the middle of the night. Just started hiking. It was like 2 a.m. You know what I mean? And I'm hiking this mountain. I don't know what I was doing, Joe. I'll be honest with you. I'm just hiking because I'm mental. And, I'm hiking for like an hour or something like that, and I'm bombed, and I actually bought beers with me and everything in my pockets. So all of a sudden I came across this like river or stream, whatever the hell it was. I was telling Dave this today, and I'm like, shit, I got to get across this river. So I stepped back and I started running, and I dove, I jumped, but of course I didn't make it, and I landed in the mud in the river and everything. So I was like, I got pissed. I was soaking wet, covered in mud. I said, that's it. The trip is over. So I made a U-turn and went back down the mountain. I go back to my condo, Ed's condo. And I go in the bathroom. I turn the lights on. This had to be 4 a.m. in the morning, And I'm looking at the mud, So I'm taking the mud off me, and I'm, putting it on the counter. And then I'm looking at the mud, right? And I'm looking at it. I'm like, and I pick it up, and I'm looking at it. I'm going, I said, holy shit, this is gold. I can't believe this. And I put it in the light, and I'm looking at it. I said, fuck. I said, I knew I had to come to California for a reason. I've struck it rich, man. Look at this nugget. I was so excited, man. I couldn't even sleep. So I waited for the morning. I cleaned up, I showered. I went to the jewelry store in Palm Springs. And I brought like a little sandwich bag filled with these nuggets, I walk in, I go, yo, I think I hit gold up in the mountain. He goes, let me see it. He's looking at it. He goes, nah, this ain't gold. I said, this is not gold? He goes, nah. That's okay. Took my bag back. I went to like 2 or 3 jewelers, because I wanted to hear one guy say, yeah, it's gold. You know what I mean? Because I was going to go up there and put a stake in the ground, my name in it. I was going to claim that gold, bro. So I'm serious. So finally, I get to this one jeweler. He was pretty cool. I show him the bag. He's got his eyepiece on. He's looking at it. And he says, yeah. He goes, this is not gold. I said, well, what the hell is it? I said, it looks like gold to me. He said, yeah, no, this is called pyrite. The mountains are full of this. It's called it's fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
Yeah, I had no idea. I'm from New York, man. The hell do I know? So I'm like, son of a bitch, man. I thought I was well off, with all this gold. You know what I mean? But I was like, you know what? It figures, man.
Yeah. Ben Garcia says, hey, Jimmy, will you ever move back to Cali when you retire?
Nah.
No.
Nah. I mean, the weather's great out there. I loved living out there. I really did. I mean, even when I went back with Lee 2 years ago, I think it was, when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I love California, man. The ocean, Venice Beach. There's a lot of diversity there. Like, you have wealthy people living in the mountains, and you got the common folks living here, and the beach. Everybody's doing shit on the beach, and there's a gym there, and everybody's like rollerblading. I mean, the shit is cool. It really is. I mean, there's nothing like it, And 1 year I went out there. We did the Olympia in Vegas, and I took my ex-girlfriend there, and then I rented a Mustang. And I always liked the Mustangs, Joe. So I rented the Mustang, and the guy goes, how many miles do you think you're gonna put? I said, I don't know, man. It's not gonna be local. I drove to California, right? I didn't give a shit, right? I took the car to California, right? And I'm driving to California, and I tell you, Joe, we got in the middle of the desert, halfway across from Vegas to California, right? And the sun was going down, right? The most beautiful thing I ever saw, man. I saw the sun setting, right, on one end of the sky, and then when I looked over to, the east, I saw the stars, and it was getting dark, and the stars were coming up over here. And then if you look this way, you see the sun. I never saw anything like it, man. I saw night, and I mean, you can see that here too, but in the desert, it looks so much better to see the sunset and the stars coming up at the same time, And I was like, wow, we definitely live on a flat earth, man. This is definitely true from flat earth over here, So I told my girlfriend at the time, I says, yo, Denise, get out of the car. You gotta look. She goes, fuck you, I ain't getting out of the car. There's scorpions out there, and she want to get out of the car, because we were in the middle of nowhere. So anyway.
Bull for life. Bull for life says, Jimmy, thoughts on alien conspiracy? What do you think about the alien conspiracy? Bull for life. That's what he said.
Well, right now there's something going on. I mean, it's all, I don't know. There's a buzz about 31 Atlas. Did you ever hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So that's happening right now. Supposedly there's some sort of a alien craft out there. It's between the sun and Mars right now. We can't see it, and it's going to resurface again on December 19th. And they sent the message to it, supposedly.
Yep.
And then 3 days later, the craft sent it back, and they believe it's alien ship nature, and all of that. Do you believe that, Joe? I don't know.
I don't know. I believe this. We're not the only ones in this world, but.
Well, I mean, did you hear about?
I did hear about this too, but
you did, right?
Yeah, I did hear about this, but I don't know. 0311 says, "Hey Jimmy, did you have a hard time transitioning out of the Marines, or was it smooth?" Simplify.
It's a good question. I think it took a little while, really, because Marine Corps life is totally different from civilian life, So, and I didn't come home a lot, in the 6 years. But I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it was a little hard to, kind of. It's like anything else. Like you're in one place for a long time, and then you come back into the world. It's you gotta readjust yourself a little bit to it. I mean, it was. I tell you the truth. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I had a lot of experience in the Marine Corps, but coming back into the civilian world, whatever, it's not the same. It's like,
Mhm.
people have no camaraderie with people. It wasn't like when I was in the Corps. Marines are brothers in the Marine Corps. Don't matter what
Mhm.
race you are. You're because if they drill in your head when you're in Paris Island. Like they always used to say, I don't care if you're a nigger, you're a wop, you're a mick, you're a spick, you're a kike, that's what they used to say to us.
Really?
You're
Wow.
all, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're all green. You're all green. You got me. You got it. Like they used to drill that in our heads. Um, and I'm just telling you what he told me. I'm not prejudiced, but they used to drill that in our heads that
Mhm.
doesn't matter where you're from, walk of life, race, color, don't matter. When you're in the Marine Corps, everyone's together because when you're in combat and the shit is the fan, you're
Mhm.
gonna you're gonna save that guy, and the guy's gonna
Mhm.
watch your back. They're really big on the buddy system in the Marine Corps,
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
was uh that was a big thing, So,
Mhm.
but you don't see that when you come out in the civilian world. Everybody's different, man. Ain't like the Marine Corps, man. Everyone's more of a unit, you know.
Why'd you pick the Marines, not the Navy or the Air Force or something?
I'll tell you how that happened. So when I was in junior high school and high school, I got bored with school, Joe. Seventh grade. My father died when I was young. My
Mhm.
father died. I was 12 years old, and when I turned 13, I spent my 13th birthday in the funeral parlor. My father, right?
Mhm.
And I was very young. My mother, she was devastated too. But I became a little, a little unruly, at that
Mhm.
age. My father was from the Korean War, Navy. He was very strict. I always had a high and tight haircut. My father was very strict with that. But when he passed away, it really hurt me. And I got rebellious, man. I started growing my hair long.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, I had hair down to here. I have pictures somewhere. I got to post them one day. And I started smoking cigarettes, and I started hanging out. So I was probably going into seventh grade at that time,
Mhm.
and I I basically was done with school. I was like seventh grade. You know, Matter of fact, I quit a couple of times. I walked out. And then the dean would call my mother, say your son hasn't been to school in weeks. We're gonna expel him or whatever the hell the word they use. And they kicked me out of school. So my mother fought for me to get me back into school. You know,
Mm.
and I didn't argue with her. She got me back in school, and then I did the same thing. I was cutting out.
Mhm.
In my school where I was in Walt Whitman, there used to be this hill with woods, and we used to cut out and go up this hill. And this guy, I'll never forget him. I don't know who the hell he was, but he used to show up on a fucking horse up in the woods. And we all be up there with a fire, smoking weed, and this guy would show up on a fucking horse. And he'd get off the horse and party with us with the fucking horse. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know where this fucking guy. Till today, I don't know who this fucking guy was, right? But so I got kicked out again, and I told my mother, I says, I ain't going back to school, man. I got no interest in school whatsoever. I says, I'm done. I was done in seventh grade. I was done. To me, it was like repetitive bullshit, you
Mhm.
know, going to some math. How much fucking math can I learn? I got to learn fractions and
Mhm.
trigonometry. What the fuck am I going to do with trigonometry? What am I going to do? Build a spaceship? Get the fuck out of here. So I quit, you know.
Mhm.
So then I was hanging out with all these guys, and we were going to keg parties and shit on the weekends behind the school that I quit, you know.
Mhm.
And in the summertime, we used to go. Keg parties was big back in the day, Joe. You know, where we go in the woods somewhere or anywhere, and we show up with 3, 4 kegs of beer.
Mhm.
Everybody had mugs and smoking weed and shit. This is back in the '70s, man,
Mhm.
and just drinking and partying. And I used to hang out with a couple of guys that trained pretty fucking heavy back then too. So
Mhm.
this one guy Canuck. He was an animal. I got really close with this guy, and then my friend Jay Reddy, and Joey Gentile. These guys were like, you know, badasses. It wasn't about bodybuilding. They just trained to be strong and, you know, be an animal, you know. And I kind of clicked with these guys. I don't know why, but anyway. So one day they decided that they wanted to join the army, you know. So I was like, fuck it, I'm joining the army too, you know. And we all took the test. They all passed it and they all got in the army. I didn't. I failed the fucking test, right? So I was like, I said, this is bullshit, man. I said, I'm not gonna. I got to get in the military. I don't give a fuck. I said, I can't sit here. I failed the fucking test. You know what I mean? So I went to take. You know, I went to the recruiter in the Marine Corps, and I was young. I was only 17, so my mother had a co-sign for me. But anyway, I took the test. I went to Fort Schuyler in Brooklyn by the Verrazano Bridge, right? And I took the test there. It was a 6-hour fucking test, Joe.
Wow.
You know, and it was actually harder than the army test, right?
Wow.
And I passed.
Okay.
So I'm like, I live by like destiny, and things are supposed to happen the way they're supposed to happen. I believe everybody's life is cut out for what it's supposed to be, even though people have their own ideas about their destiny and what they want to do. But I think the life is cut out already, and it's going to go the way it was written. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I joined the fucking Marine Corps. I came home with the papers. I says, Ma, I'm joining Marine Corps. I need your signature. She was like, what? I said, you got to sign here, Ma. Sign the papers. I said, I'm going to Marine Corps. And so I gave her the paper. She was crying. She signed the paper. She probably thought it was the best thing for me at the time, because I was a wild card. I was really not doing the right thing, you know. So she signed the paper, and then I don't know, months later when I turned 18, whatever, I went down to a reserve base, and the Marines came with a station wagon. I'll never forget it. And I had balls of steel back then, Joe. You know, I really did, man. I just did whatever I wanted to do. You know, I mean, when you get older, like, you think about it, you weigh it out. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Oh my God, what if this? What if that? What if the what ifs? You know, fuck the what ifs. When I was younger, I didn't care. You know, so I got in the station wagon with the Marines, and I was in the back seat, and I'm pulling away, and I turn around because they had, you know, the station wagon had the big window in the back, you know.
Yep.
I turn around, and my mother, my girlfriend, and my best friend Jake was standing there, and my mother was waving, crying, and I'm waving like this out the window. I don't give a fuck. I'm gone, right? You know, I didn't care, you know. So, but anyway, I got to tell you another funny story about the keg parties, right?
Go ahead.
Then I'll tell you about Paris Island. So anyway,
okay, go ahead.
So one night we were drinking profusely and smoking. You know, there was always like 20, 30 of us hanging out drinking.
Okay.
Sometimes we used to go to the tree farms or the back of the school. So this particular night was a summer night. It was like in August, and it was hot as fuck, and we were all drinking beer. I was polluted, right? So a friend of mine, Sal Sergio, he was big too, man. This kid, you know, he trained. You know, back then I used to hang out with, like, you know, guys that wrestle, like Mike the Stitchia. He wrestled the Russians, you know, like wrestling was big back then, you know, like national champs and shit. You know, these guys, I used to wrestle them for the fun of it.
Okay.
My friend Mike Wickham, his whole family was wrestlers. And I used to go to his house, lift weights, box, and then wrestle them. I wasn't a wrestler, so they used to grind me on the carpet, get me in these locks and shit, and grind my face across the carpet. You know, I used to come home like with all kinds of scars on my face and red red. My mother goes, "What happened to you?" And I'm like, "I was wrestling Mike and his brothers, man. I got this to fuck me up." But I was very strong, so they loved wrestling me because I had so much strength that they used to, you know, really how to really get me in these holes. It took effort. It wasn't like they did it easily, you know. So anyway, so one night Sal, you know, he used to steal Dynaball from his brothers because his brothers used to train and take steroids. So we didn't know, but Sal was eating Dynaball back in 7th grade, right? And he was fucking getting huge, right? So one night we're all drinking, and we're like, Sal, streaking was big back then. I don't know if you know, in the 70s, streaking was streaking.
Okay, I heard of it, but I didn't know it was big.
Oh, it was big, bro. It was people streaking all over the place, right?
Okay.
New York City, the fucking parkways, main roads, right? I even did it, man. I got naked on a fucking bicycle with my friend Mike, stark naked on 10 speeds, booking down Jericho Main Road. It was at night. We were stark naked, man. This was the thing, right? So now here we are. Imagine this. We're all in the keg party. It's like 11, 12 at night. We're all fucked up sitting there. And we're like, Sal, come on, man. Streak. You always want to streak. Come on, motherfucker, streak. So we talked him into it. So he took his clothes off. He went like into the woods. Skinny went undressed in front of us. And he went in the woods and he undressed. And he starts running across the field naked. And we're all like in the background cheering him on, Yeah, fucking Sal, drinking beer and, smoking fire. And all of a sudden, 2 German shepherds were chasing him, right? The guy's stark naked. Some dude was walking his shepherds at night, and he didn't put them on leashes because it's 12 o'clock at night. So he must have go in the school field, in the field, in the schoolyard, and walk his dogs. You know what I mean? He didn't put him on a leash. He figured it's 12 at night. Who the hell's around? He let his dogs go free. Bro, they were chasing Sal. We saw Sal running like fast, right? And we're like, wow, Sal's really a fast runner. Yeah. And then we look right behind us, 2 shepherds following him, chasing him like that. He's holding his balls and he's running for his life, right? And the owner was screaming for the dogs. You know what I mean? The guy actually got the dogs. He's out there, but it was a scene out of a movie. It was funny as shit.
Wow, that's fucking crazy, man. This guy said, my brother said, does Jimmy know about Operation Paperclip?
Yeah, I've heard of Operation Paperclip. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's if I remember correctly, because I haven't done research in a long time. I researched flat Earth for a long time, many years, and I'll tell you how I started that. So Operation Paperclip, I think that's when all the Nazis came over to America. Vernon von Braun and all their physicists and their scientists. When the war was over, America brought them. Kennedy actually brought them over here, and he made Vernon von Braun. I think he made the V2 rocket in Germany. He put him in charge of NASA. He was the head guy.
Wow.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip. So, and then there was Operation High Jump, and Operation Dominic, Operation Fishbowl. So, one has to wonder, Operation Fishbowl, what the fuck could that be? So really what it was they Russia and America bombed the atmosphere for 4 years straight. Rockets, just high altitude explosions, like for 4 years. It's like, the fuck were they bombing up there? It was called Operation Fishbowl. Now, I know you don't believe it, Joe, but
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It makes you wonder, what the fuck were they bombing up there for 4 years? Now people speculate it was the firmament. They were trying to break it because they were doing high altitude explosives for years. And Operation High Jump was with Admiral Byrd. Now, did you ever hear Admiral Byrd?
No.
Yeah, see, this is why you're a little. I'm not saying anything bad about you, Joe, but you haven't done any research. And I told you this before.
You
haven't done any research, So, Operation High Jump was with Admiral Byrd. Now, if you research Admiral Byrd, he went down to the Antarctica. The government gave him, the green light with a whole bunch of military people, and they went down to the Antarctic, man. So what the hell is Admiral Byrd doing down in the Antarctic with fucking half the military? It makes you wonder.
Okay.
So
makes you definitely wonder.
Yeah. I know you don't research it. So how I'll tell you how I got involved in it, because I know you think I'm crazy when I talk about the flat earth, but there's so many proofs, that I thought about for a long time, and I meditate on shit. I'm one of those wackos. I think about shit for a long time. It's actually bad sometimes. I gotta let shit go. But I don't. I'm like a dog that's biting on when a dog gets a wound and he's constantly, I'm one of those guys. So when my mom passed away, in 2014, I was devastated, right? Because she was my father died when I was very young, so my mother became my father and my mother and my advisor.
And she never remarried or anything? She never remarried or anything?
She did later on. She did. But this was years later.
Okay,
But,
years later. Okay.
In the beginning, she didn't.
Okay. Okay. So then
So finally, when she passed away, I was sick over it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to the VA to go see a grievance counselor because I was very distraught on my mother's death. You know, I was contemplating taking my own life. I'll be honest with you. That's how depressed I was. I was gonna like, what the fuck am I gonna live for? My mother's gone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm divorced. My kids are, doing their thing. I'm like, I wasn't gonna do it, but I
Yeah,
never thought
you felt
about
lonely.
taking
You were lonely.
I never thought about taking my life, but I did at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, in my depression, me and my girlfriend actually split up because of that. Because I ended up on the couch when I was seeing my mother and going back and forth. I used to go on the couch. I told the story a million times to other people. So I used to come home and stay on the couch because my girlfriend worked. My one daughter lived with me. I didn't want to disturb anybody, so I used to come home quietly early in the morning and go on the couch and then get up like at 9, see my daughter off to school, whatever, and go back to the hospital 11, 12 o'clock. And that's what I did for 3 months, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So when my mother died that night, I came back and I went on the couch and I stayed on the couch. And I was on the couch for 4 fucking years. All right. Not realizing that I was on the couch for that long. If I think about it now, I'm like, holy shit, I was on the couch for 4 years. What the fuck? I must have been like out of my mind. I don't know. I was depressed.
Were you
So
working? Were you working?
yeah, I was working, yeah, but I would always go back on the
Go back
couch.
home. Okay.
I don't know what happened. So I went into a funk, man, and I
Mm-hmm.
just stayed on the couch. So I started going to like a year later, I said, let me go see a grievance counselor because I'm actually worried about myself now. That's how depressed I am. I was seeing my mother everywhere. I saw my mother because, I grew up around here. So, I see my mother in the mall. I saw my mother we used to go to this diner together. I saw my mother in the diner. In my mind, I saw her in the
Mm-hmm.
diner. Everywhere I went, I saw my mother. I mean, like I used to actually look towards the west where she lived. And I used to just stare towards the west because I knew my mother's house was over that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used to just stare over that way and say, "Jesus, my mother's not there anymore." It's like it was like the weirdest feeling. So anyway, I went to the grievance counselor. She was a very nice lady, and we started talking. I saw her for once a week. And I finally said to her, I said, Marianne, why? And I used to cry to her. She used to put the dishes there for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be crying in front of her. I was bad. It was bad. So I says, why am I still on the couch, Marianne? I can't get off the fucking couch. Why? I'm still on the couch. I said, I'm losing my girlfriend over and everything. I can't get off the fucking couch. She says, where were you when you were taking care of your mom and going back and forth? Where were you? Were you in the bed? Were you in the bedroom? Were you there? I says, no, I was on the couch. You know. She says, well, that's what your problem is. She says, you don't want to let go of your mother. So even though your mother's gone, you feel if you stay on that couch, there's still some kind of connection because you were taking care of your mother going back and forth from the hospital and always going back to that couch. So that couch represents that time era there. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to let go of your mother. That's why you're on that. And I tell you, a bell went off, bro. And I said, holy shit, this woman's right. I don't want to get off that couch because, my mother's gone, but I felt some kind of connection with the couch. I know it might sound crazy, but that's, she
Mm-hmm.
said it, and that's really how I felt. So
Mm-hmm. Keith says, Jimmy, your love for your mom is incredible. I am sure she was very proud of you.
she was, man. I mean, I thank you for saying that. I did. I really had a good relationship with my mother. I really. Some people don't give a shit. I got a friend of mine. His mother died. He lives in her house too. He told me with his own words that she passed away in the house. He told me he put her in a body bag and he went to work the next day. And I looked at him like, I said, this guy's like a fucking an animal. Like I put my mother in a body bag and I went to work the next day. I couldn't even comprehend that, Joe. You know,
That's great. Mm-hmm.
but this
Unbelievable.
particular friend of mine, he was like a fucking Neanderthal. You know,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
and he looked like
Bill,
a fucking Neanderthal too. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
Some people don't have that connection with their parents or their mother. Listen, I'm not saying all relationships are good between children and their mother or their father. I mean, the mother could be a bitch,
Mhm.
the child can't wait to get away from their mom, or
Mhm.
like I recently watched that documentary on Motley Crue, and Nikki Sixx, he had a very bad relationship with his mother,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
yeah, and then
Mhm.
he left the house and he went on his own, and he was broke, and he was in the streets, and he got a little apartment, he started a band, and then he actually tried to call his father, and his father hung up on him. So I mean, he had a really shitty relationship with his parents, but
Mhm.
he continued on, with the band, and it was very successful. And the
Mhm.
band became his family, in the documentary, But so I get it. But my case, I had a very good relationship with my mother.
Mhm. At Bull for Life says, Jimmy, if you could go back in time, what would you change?
Holy shit. That's a big, big question, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's from
Yeah,
Bull for Life
I
says
mean,
that.
that's probably a big question for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a
You know,
huge question.
I'm sure you have a lot of things you would change.
That's a universal question right there. But yeah, so I always said that, but like I said earlier, I'm a true believer of destiny, right? So like if you're going down the street in your car and you make a right and you get a fucking car accident, and you say in your mind, if I made the left, I wouldn't. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's all destiny. I mean, would I have changed things? Yeah, I definitely would have changed things, but there's probably would have arised a whole another set of problems with that change. You know what I mean? So, but I would have liked to have done a few things different. I mean, I should have stayed in the Marine Corps for 20 years.
Mhm.
Re, retire from the Marine Corps and then go right into the police department and do another 20 years in the police department, and then
Mhm.
get that pension, right?
Mhm.
So now I got the Marine Corps pension, the police department, the pension, and then go down to Florida, buy a little
Mhm.
fucking house, and go fishing for the rest of my fucking life, right? I mean, that sounds nice, but
Mhm.
it didn't happen. I mean, I almost became a U.S. Marshal. That almost happened for me
Wow.
when I was married with my wife at the time. A friend of mine, Hackley, invited me down to the Washington D.C. Right, and this is when I was in the height of my career. I was working for Twin Lab at the time,
Mhm.
so I went down there and I did a seminar down there. I met Steve Reeves. I had lunch with
Oh,
Steve Bleckman and Steve Reeves. That was a real honor, man, because
Steve
I
Reeves,
used,
yeah.
yeah, I'm talking about like Hercules Unchained.
Hercules.
Yeah, so I actually had lunch with the guy, and I
Mhm.
did a seminar. I'll never forget. I did a seminar with I was doing skull crushers at the seminar, and I was up on the stage and I did skull crushing with like I don't know six something. I don't know what and I was skull crushing it on stage, and people go fucking nuts, And then I went back to the booth. I always did. I signed 8x10s and meet and greet and all that, So Steve Reeves came over to my booth, and he says, he goes, you should have been Hercules, not me. He goes, I never said anything like that. So then Steve arranged it, where we went out to lunch, and
Mhm.
I went out to lunch with Steve Reeves, right?
That's mhm.
So in that interim, my friend Hackley, great guy, he's like, Jimmy, the CIA guys want to meet you from the White House, the Secret Service guys and all that shit.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I swear to God, Joe. So
What?
I said, yeah, all right. So I went to the White House, bro.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, and I met this is all from fucking lifting weights. Could you imagine?
That's nuts.
I mean, a lot of shit transpired because I lifted like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at Arnold. Look at the life he had just from lifting and
Mhm.
bodybuilding, right?
Mhm.
I mean, just a whole thing of circumstances change when you change the direction of your life.
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, if
Wow.
I never lifted, Joe, I probably wouldn't have done all those things. I don't know what I would have done. Maybe I would have just stayed in the Marine Corps, and I don't know. I trained in the Marine Corps too. Anyway, I did lift. I did train. That was my destiny. And I went to the White House and I met the Secret Service guys. some of the CIA guys, you know, that protected the president. This is when Clinton was in office, and they wanted me to come down and go to Quantico, Virginia, for 3 months and be a U.S. Marshal
Get out of here.
and train the Secret Service guys hand-to-hand combat and all that shit. Because I was heavily, Hackley knew I was heavily into that. So I went back home. I was like, fuck this. I'm doing this, man. U.S. Marshal, man. I mean, that U.S. Marshal, that carries weight anywhere in the United States, U.S. Marshal, right? So I go home and I tell my wife, I said, listen, I'm going down to Virginia for 3 months. I'm going to Quantico, Virginia. I'm going to be a U.S. Marshal. I'm going to go to the school, you know. I says, what are you talking about? I said, this is a great opportunity for me. Who the fuck gets an opportunity like this? I didn't even go to fucking college. I said, the guys love me. They want me to come down and be a U.S. Marshal. I said, you fucking out of your mind? I said, you know, I don't want you to go down. 3 months. I said, it's 3 months, but it's Virginia, man. I could come home on the weekends, go back to school during the week. She didn't want me to do it. So anyway, fast forward. The next year, we were having problems anyway. I could tell, you know, in our marriage, you could tell when shit's not right, you know. And I was like, she's going to kick me out of the fucking house. This was her house. So I used to tell my mother, I said, Ma, she's going to kick me out of the house. She goes, yeah, she is. She says, you're almost done with the basement. I redid the whole basement. I told David this story too. This was an RX muscle. My mother says, when you finish that basement, she's going to throw you out of the house. I says, Ma, come on. She's not going to throw me out. She goes, yeah, she is. So Christmas came. And we were, you know, and her mother, I told the story on Dave's show too. It's just embedded in my mind, you know, like my birthday would come, my mother-in-law come over, you know, give me this box. Happy birthday, Jimmy. I said, oh, Grace, thank you. And I took the box. I said, thank you so much. I opened the fucking box. It's a fucking skill saw. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with a skill saw? The fucking skill saw was to work on her daughter's house. You know what I mean? So every time it was my birthday or Christmas, I got a hammer, I got a sawzall, I got a fucking, you know what I mean? But it wasn't personal gifts for me.
No, everything for her.
Right. It wasn't like a pair of jeans or a shirt. No, it was a fucking tool, you know, to work on her daughter's house, right? So anyway, make a long story short, you know, Christmas came and my kids were very young, 2 years old. Samantha and Gabby was 2 months old. You know, my kids were they know the story of my kids. Anyway, I get a barbecue for Christmas, right?
Okay.
I'm like, holy shit! I unwrapped the box, you know, and this barbecue. I'm like, I said, my mother's wrong. I got a barbecue. I'm gonna be here for the spring, for the summer. I got, right. I mean, who gets a barbecue unless you're gonna be there for the fucking summer, right? So I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I got a barbecue, man. You know. Anyway, the next month, January, I was in the shower. I never forget it. She came home. I was in the shower. I was getting ready to go to work or go somewhere. I forget it was, you know. And she comes in the bathroom. She's like, "When you get out of the shower, we got to talk." I'm like, "Okay," you know. I get out of the shower. I get dressed, dry off. I go in the kitchen. I said, "What's up?" You know. She goes, "I want you out." I said, "You want me fucking out?" I said, "What are you talking about?" You know, she goes, I just can't live with you no more. I want you out of the house. I'm like, wait a minute, take it easy. I said, we just had 2 kids, 2 years old and 2 months old. You want me out of the fucking house? She says, yeah, I can't live here anymore. I said, you serious? I said, can we go see a counselor? Can we talk about it? You just throw me the fuck out? She says, yeah. You know, so anyway, that went on for like two weeks. I wouldn't leave.
Okay.
She kept calling the cops on me. I was arguing with her. One time she took, you know, remember the old VCRs with the tape on the side? You know, you slap the tape. You know, she put that on the fireplace mantle, and she put record on. And I said, when I was sitting in the kitchen, you know, the camera was on me. You know, I said, you know, we were arguing. I said, what are you doing with the fucking camera, man? She goes, I want to record you. I want to show your daughters what an asshole you are. I said, you're going to record me and show my daughters what an asshole I am because we're fucking arguing? I got up. I took the fucking VCR. I opened the front door and I launched the fucking VCR out the fucking door, right into the driveway. She goes, that's it. You're getting violent. I'm calling the cops. I said, I'm not getting violent. I said, throw your fucking camera out the fucking window. The cops came like for the 4th, 5th time. And I was sitting in the living room. I didn't move. The cops came. They came around me. They were talking to her. They separated us, And the cops were talking to her, and she says, "I want him arrested. He's getting violent, And the cops said, "Well, what did he do?" She said, "He threw the VCR out, in the driveway." The cop says, "Okay. Did he throw it at you?" "No, he didn't throw it at me. He threw it out the front door." So the cop goes, "Well, listen, ma'am, I'm very sorry to tell you, but he didn't throw it at you or the kids. He threw it in his driveway. And this is your husband. He could throw the TV out in his driveway. This is his property too. He can do whatever he wants." Bro, she burnt up, because she thought she had me, And the cops left, and finally I had to move out, Joe. It was getting
If that happened today, one of you guys would have to be arrested or get out.
Yeah. But this is going back, So
going back, of course. Yeah. Was she a stripper? Was she a stripper?
Yeah. She was a stripper.
Yeah.
Listen, I that's another whole story, man. I mean,
you like strippers back then.
We all make mistakes, man. I don't know if it was the testosterone back in the day there, but my sex levels were through the fucking roof. But anyway, I met her through a friend of mine, and I never really was a strip club goer type of guy.
Okay.
But I used to work in the airport at night, and I used to come home. I forget what shift I worked, but I used to come home like 10, 11 o'clock, and I used to pass this bar, and my friend Sean, he always used to sit outside the bar in a chair, leaning against the building, like in a chair, because he didn't want to smell the smoke. Back then, everybody smoked in the bars, And I used to pull up and bullshit with him because I was on my way home. And he's like, "Why don't you come in and get a beer, I said, "I really don't want to come in, Sean." He goes, "No, come on." He goes, "You stand in the doorway." He goes, "I'll get you a beer. You have a beer before you go home." All right, fuck it. I get out of the car, go in the doorway, and you bring the beer over, and I was drinking a beer, bullshit with Sean. And then I saw her walk by, I don't know where she was coming from, the bathroom, whatever. And I looked at her. She looked at me. She smiled. She's a pretty girl. And I said, "Who the fuck is that?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's Carrie." And I says, "Oh, yeah, she's cute, I said, "What's her story?" He goes, "Oh, she's strictly businessman. She makes her money here. She goes home. She don't deal with none of these people. Everything's a facade, blah, blah, blah." And he kind of like talked me into it. So he called her over. We were talking and bullshit with her. And I got her phone number. And we started dating. And that was it, So
Bull for Life said you should have wrecked that basement instead of Ed Connor's place.
I know, right? Well, the only difference is I built that basement, so
yeah, that's true.
I didn't want to wreck my own work. I mean, I built a beautiful I put ceramic floor. Me and my brother did the studs, the sheetrock, the drop ceiling, hi-hat. I built a bathroom in there, 10 by 10 bathroom with a therapeutical jacuzzi tub, and I forget about what I did down there. I did the vacuum. I even went as far as putting vacuums in the wall, so you just stick the hose in the wall.
Oh yeah.
And I even put one by the front window, so you could throw the hose out there and vacuum your cars in the summer. I really, in the beginning, I was digging the basement out because it was a half basement. So if you go downstairs, it was a half basement, and then the other half was like an eave. It had like dirt, and then like maybe a 3-foot crawl space to the rest of the house, right? So in the beginning, I wanted to make it a full basement. So me, I got the fucking shovel. I'm digging the fucking dirt out with the Home Depot buckets, and I'm going outside with pouring the dirt out, going back. It was like the Escape from Alcatraz. I was digging for days, right? Just digging. Finally, my brother was like, "What are you doing, man?" I was like maybe a quarter of the way, not even. I had like a long way to go, He goes, "You can seriously gonna dig this entire place out with a Home Depot bucket and a fucking shovel?" He goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know, man. I said, Anthony, I want to get you." He says, "You're out of your fucking mind." He goes, "Just call somebody, So I called my friend Manny, and he came with the Bobcat, and he broke a hole in the wall on the outside of the house. He did the whole thing. I don't know what the hell I was thinking about, but I attempted it because that was my mind back then, So I was doing shit on my own,
Yeah. When you rebelled, what was your brother Anthony? Was he the same way like you growing up?
Nah.
No, he was different, your brother Anthony?
He was a little bit, not as bad as me though.
Mhm.
He had his moments too.
Okay.
But my brother was a little more reserved than me. Um, I mean, like even today, he does AC and heating. He's very good at it, man. He does
Mhm.
radiant systems. I mean, he's ready to give it up now. He's getting older now, but
Mhm.
he did it for almost 20 years. He's very, even when he was a kid, he used to come home with a TV. Just back in the 70s.
Wow.
Some TV that some guy threw out. He picked it up in the garbage. And threw it. I said, "What the fuck you doing with this TV?" Well, he got it. He got it going. You know,
Wow. Wow.
radios, TVs. I mean, he had that ability.
Mhm.
And so he was a little more reserved than me. I definitely was out of control in those days. But
That Silver Mad one said, "I love you, Jimmy." Silver Mad one said, "Love you, Jimmy."
I love you too, bro. Yeah,
Now,
so the
now,
Marine Corps was like, that was like the turning point in my life, really.
mhm.
Which kind of put me on a different path.
Mhm.
Um, when I was in boot camp, it was a whole different world down there, man. That was a whole different world, Paris Island. And I just, once I got down there and I got off the bus and we had to stand on these footprints. They had like these painted footprints. You had to stand on them, with attention.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I was still a civilian at that point.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget. I went in July, like an idiot. It was fucking hot as hell, man. The humidity was like through the roof. And I remember hearing the steam pipes in Paris Island. They have steam pipes in the street, like elevated steam pipes. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if they still have that. But I remember hearing them, hissing and banging, and it was just,
Mhm.
and there was a weird smell in the air. I'll never forget that. And then I was like, "What the hell?" And I found out later it was tobacco companies, Marlboro, and all these. They used to burn. I don't know what the hell they were burning, but it was in the paper mills, you
Mhm.
know. And they So at that time, I get letters even now today from
Really?
the Department of the Navy that we drank poison water in Camp Lejeune because
Get out of here.
the paper mills, yeah, they used to dump this shit in the rivers and the ground and contaminated water, and then we were drinking this shit. So I have a letter in my file cabinet right now that they want me to call them because they got a giant lawsuit going on of Marines that were in Camp Lejeune area in the early 70s to the 80s or so, something like that. So they want me to join the lawsuit. You know,
Mhm.
which I didn't do, but it's I'm saying to myself, maybe that's why I'm fucking nuts sometimes. I don't know, maybe the water I drank is because they always say, like, you always hear that saying, what's wrong with those people in Connecticut? And they said something's in the fucking water, right? So it's like, yeah, I'm thinking maybe that's my problem, man. I figured there's poison water down there for months. But
Mhm.
who the hell knows, Joe? But
Yeah.
it was an experience, man. I loved it. But so anyway, like back to Ed Connors,
Mhm.
the guy did me a solid. He was very good to me.
Mhm.
Um, I apologize for what happened, but I did fix everything in the house. Uh, what happened that night, and
Okay.
so yeah, I want to reach out to him, tell him I apologize for that. But
Now,
even though it's like fucking 25 years later, whatever the hell it is.
yeah, a long time later.
But
Did you a story about your dad? Didn't you say the last memory you had of your dad where you were fixing a fence with him? Or he built the fence or something?
yeah, so what happened was right.
Good.
So my father was sick in the hospital,
Okay.
and he had lung cancer, and then they operated on it, took part of his lung out, but then it spread. I don't know what happens when
Mhm.
you get open with cancer. Sometimes it just spreads more. I don't know why.
Okay.
People say because they got you open and the oxygen gets in there. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, he died. So one morning I was in bed. It was like November 26th, and it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was a rainy November fucking day. It
Mhm.
was just getting light out, and I heard the phone ring. And my mother's cousin used to stay with my mother a lot because my father was in the hospital sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hear the phone ring.
Someone else will jump on this. Keep talking.
What was that?
Keep talking.
What's up, Greggy?
Hey, Jimmy, my brother, I love you. Keep
What's
talking.
good?
I want to hear the. I want to hear the story.
Yeah, so this is when my dad died. So it was like 5 in the morning. I hear the phone ringing. You know, I was awake already. My mother's cousin answered the phone. She says, "Hello." She said, "Oh," she said, "Oh, okay, all right, thank you." You know, and she hung up. And and I was still listening. And then I heard her go inside, and she said, "Angie, Al passed away."
Mm.
So I got up off my bed because that was like fucking that kind of news was really, I was like, my
Yeah.
dad died. I was like, holy shit, my father. So I looked out the window and it was raining like a fuck. It was November 26th. And I was looking at this fence that my father just built. It was like one of those corral fences, with the two posts and then the two rails, top and
Mm-hmm.
bottom, like that type of fence. And I was just looking at the fence, just crying my eyes out. Like my dad just built that. I'm never gonna see him again. But it was a fucked up feeling. I was only 12 years old. You know,
Shit.
and I never forget looking at the fence, just crying my eyes out, looking at that fence, saying I'll never see my dad again. You know,
Mm.
what's weird about death is like if you love somebody, right? I truly love them, and they die on you, your wife, your husband, your mother, your father, whatever. That love, you didn't tell that person to go to hell. I don't ever want to see you again. Fuck you. It's nothing like that. It's like this person that you love tremendously dies, right? And they're taken away from you. So that love's still there. You know what I mean? Like it was taken from you. So it's a very hard thing to swallow because you're like, wait a minute, man. I love my father to death, my mother, whatever, and they just gone. You know what I mean? I can't talk to them no more. I can't call. It's a fucked up feeling. It really is, especially for a young child at that age,
Mhm.
at 12 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
12, 13 years old. The Jewish people have bar mitzvahs when you're 13. You become a man, right? So I basically died, and my father died when I became a man at 13, even though I'm not Jewish. But they have bar mitzvahs at
Mhm.
13 years old. So I was like, I was just becoming a man, 13. My father's dead. And then I was actually in the funeral parlor the next day. At my birthday, November 27th, 13 years old. I'm viewing my father in a box. Stiff and cold, dead. And I'm like, holy shit. It's like my father's dead. It was very, very, very mentally fucking hard, to swallow that at that age.
Yeah. That's
But
tough.
of course, as the years went on, I overcame it, and my mom did too, because it hurt.
Do you ever have
I
a
tell you, my mother was a very strong woman. She never cried in front of my mother. Said she cried in oceans for my father when he died, but my mother never cried in front of me and my brother. Never. She never showed me and my brother her sadness, her broken heart. She always stayed positive with me and my brother. Even at that time, And I didn't think about it at the time, but later on in life, especially when she passed away, I said, something. My mother was something else, man. She lost her husband. My brother was 4 years younger than me, 9, whatever he was. Her husband died. My father had an Italian deli in Bayshore Farmers Market, like an A&S pork store back then,
Mhm.
So my mother had to take over his half of the business,
Wow.
and she continued working. Before my father died, he told her, "You're going to lose the house." This is my father told her when he was on his deathbed, So my mother was like, "I'm not losing the house," and she didn't. We stayed there. We kept the house. She worked the business with my father's partner, Sal. And she stayed there for a few years. Then she gave up. Sal bought her out, and then my mother got a job at the chemical bank at the time, and she did 25 years there. My mother never missed a beat, man, even with my father's death. So I thought about it later. I said, you know what, man, that's probably where I get my my strength, because even my grandmother was that way. My grandmother was from Catania, Sicily, and she was tough as nails, man. Um, when my grandfather passed away, but they separated. My grandfather ran out of the house in Brooklyn in a t-shirt in fucking January, February, snowstorm. He just left my grandmother. He couldn't live with my grandmother anymore, right? She was like, my mother used to tell me my uncle used to come home. This is back in Brooklyn on West 6th Street. He used to come home late. My grandmother was behind the door with the broom. As soon as the door opened, she was whacking my Uncle Sam in the fucking head with the broom. She was like one of those ladies, Italian lady. She's 4 foot high, but that woman was like, everybody was afraid of her. You know what I mean? Like she was that type of a lady. But and she used to always, I was raised by her and my mom. Like I had 2 mothers, and my mother.
Okay.
My grandmother always used to have like these little sayings, like she used to always say, "Never love it too much." She said, "Never love it too much." And I was like, "What the hell is she talking about? Never love too much," But I know what she meant later on in life when I got older as an adult. I know she meant don't love too much, because if the person lets you down or leaves you, it's gonna break your fucking heart. You know what I mean? But you can't live like that. But that was her mentality, And then she always used to take a dollar bill, Joe, right? And she used to hold the dollar bill up, and she used to squeeze the dollar bill, and she used to say, "Hold on to that money tight." She said, "Tight," right? And I said, "Okay, Grandma," I know what the hell she was talking about. Then she one of her other sayings were, she says, "You move." She says, "Your pocket is your best friend. Your pocket is your best friend." I'm like, "Okay, Grandma." I'm saying, "What the hell is she talking about?" I was a kid. I'm like, I'm looking at my pocket. I was like, my pocket is my best friend. How the fuck is my pocket my best friend? But later on, I knew what she meant. The money you make, the money you save, the money in your pocket, you don't need anyone. If you making good money and you know how to save your money, you got money in your pocket, you don't need fucking anybody. You have your pocket. That's what she was telling me.
Yeah.
Save your money, work hard, keep your pocket full, and and you really don't need anybody. That's what she.
It's not how much you make; it's how much you save.
Yeah, how much you save, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So she was very hardcore. I'm going to tell you another story, which I don't really tell a lot of people, but I did tell it on Dave's show, so I'm going to tell it now. When my grandfather left, he ran out. My grandfather had a bar and grill in the Bronx. He had property on Long Island. He just left and gave my grandmother everything. He just split. He was done, right? My grandmother she was hard. I love my grandmother, but she was a very hard woman. So, make a long story short, growing up as a young boy, my grandmother didn't want us to know that he was alive. She always said that he's dead. So my mother, nobody else would say anything. So for years, as growing up as a kid, I thought my grandfather was dead. You know what I mean? So yeah, even my cousins, like everybody.
She meant dead to her.
Right.
She maybe meant dead. She might have meant dead to me.
Yeah.
He's dead
But
to
I wasn't
me.
allowed to know, Greg. I wasn't allowed to know. Like, this is fucked up.
Right.
Now. This is a fucked up story, because this is really a cruel thing to do to somebody. But anyway, my grandmother, I love her to death. She was an amazing woman, amazing cook. Just, she was everybody respected my grandmother, but she had her ways, that Sicilian mentality, man. She says, he's dead. And one time I asked my grandma about grandpa, and she says, he's dead. He's dead. I said, all right, grandma. All right. I'm not going to ask you. And I said, Mom, is grandpa, he's dead. My mother said he's dead, And my cousins, grandpa, he's dead. He's dead. So for years, I thought my grandpa was dead. So one day, my cousin Rob, which is my mother's sister's kids, right? First cousins. I'm working in the airport with him. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. All of a sudden, we're in Queens, we're working by Kennedy Airport. This is back when I was in my mid-20s. He says to me one day, he goes, "Oh, you want to see Grandpa?" I'm thinking he's talking about the grave, right? Because my whole life they're telling me that Grandpa's dead. So I'm like, I says, want to go see Grandpa? He says, yeah, I'm gonna take you to see Grandpa. I'm figuring the grave. I'm like, all right, yeah, I never been to Grandpa's. Yeah, let's go see. Yeah, take me to Grandpa's. So lunchtime came. We got in the Volkswagen. my cousin's Volkswagen. It was dead of winter. I'll never forget it. And we went to 86th Street under the L in Brooklyn. I'm like, where the fuck are we going? There's no cemetery here, you know. He goes, don't worry, we're going to Grandpa's. He says, and we go to this apartment building. There was an alarm company on the bottom floor. My grandfather lived on top of the alarm company. We go up these fucking stairs. Robert knocks on the door, and fucking my grandfather opens the fucking door, right? And I'm standing there, and my grandfather's looking at me. I'm looking at my grandfather. I know what he looks like, all the pictures, right? And my grandfather just started crying, you know, and I started crying. I wanted to kill my fucking cousin, bro. So I grabbed my grandfather and I'm hugging and he's like, Jimmy, I'm like, Grandpa. I couldn't even tell you the emotions that were happening to me at that time. I'm thinking my grandfather's dead my whole fucking life until I was like 24 years old, bro. And then I go in my grandfather's apartment and there's my pictures on the wall. My grandfather's got my pictures on the fucking wall. And I'm like, holy shit, this poor man was looking at me with pictures because my family was telling me he's dead. And I'm looking at myself on the wall. The poor guy was looking at pictures, you know, of me, my brother, you know. I'm like, how fucked up is that? You know, so needless to say, you know, after we had lunch with my grandfather and everything, I went back home that day and I laid it to my mother, man. I says, Ma, are you kidding me? I says, you know where I was today, Ma? Do you know where I was today, Ma? She said, no, where were you? I said, I was at Grandpa's house. That's where I was. Grandpa! She says, what? Grandpa? I says, yeah, I was at Grandpa's house in Brooklyn, 86th Street. Are you familiar with that address? So, you know, my mother just started crying, and I was like, how could you? All these years you telling me Grandpa. She goes, your grandmother, I said, I don't give a shit about Grandma. You told me Grandpa. I could have had all these years with Grandpa. You tell me he's dead. You know? So I was pissed off my mother, man. I never get mad at my mother, but I was pissed off, you know.
Why the secret? Why the secret? Why the secret? Was there a family?
Because my mother loved her mother, you know. And she respected my mother. I guess it's an Italian thing.
Old school Italian. So. Joe, your mother's Italian, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Old school. You know how your mother with your father did.
Yeah.
Old school Italians, bro. Same shit. You know, my parents were good.
Italian people, you know, I don't know what it is with the Italian people, man, but they respected my grandmother, and they didn't want to tell me my grandfather was alive for all those years, man. You know,
the woman scorned. Italian woman scorned, forget about it. Old school Italian women.
My grandmother, man, if she had a thing against you, it was lifetime, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't a week or two. It was life.
They wore black. When I was younger, my great-grandmother wore black all the time because, you know, husband's
my grandmother wore black for fucking 20-something years.
All black. It's
funny. My grandmother never drove a car. She never had a fucking license, bro. Okay? My grandmother, in her apartment on West 6th Street, you open up her door, her apartment door. It had two doors. It was one of those brownstones, right? Door here, door here. You go up the 4 or 5 concrete steps, open up the fucking door. You go in a little lobby. My grandmother had her little wagon here with the 2 wheels on it. When you go shopping, you pull it open, and you go to the fucking grocery store. That was over here, right? And then I went up these stairs. It had to be like 60 fucking steps, man. I just remember going up them steps forever, you know, when they were creaking like a motherfucker. And my grandmother had calves, like I can't even tell you, from going up those stairs for fucking 20-something years. You know what I mean? And she was just hardcore, man. Hardcore.
My great-grandmother was like that. She was fucking senile, and they would push her around in a wheelbarrow because she couldn't, you know what I mean? She'd go in the store, she'd go out and give the kids candies, and they were mothballs. They weren't candies. She'd give, hey, you want to, you know, candy. She couldn't speak English. She was from Italy. They give her a fucking candy. You look, it's a fucking mothball. You know what I mean?
My grandma, like, she spoke English, but it was broken, you know, like broken English, you know. So, I mean, you know, listen, she never drove a car. But she lived in Brooklyn, man. You don't need a fucking car in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So, you know, she take the bus, the train, the fucking, you know how Brooklyn is. You don't, everything's right there. The bakeries, everything, you know. So,
you know,
she never needed a car.
The old school Italian women were so thick-headed and stronger with the men. They were stronger than the men mentally. You know what I'm saying? The men got pissed off and shit like that. But those women, if you were dead to them, they'd all gang up on you, right? Every woman in the family, bangul him, right?
I tell you, Greg, my grandmother was a saver, man. I mean, like, I remember her getting up. She always got up like early in the morning too. You know, even when she
Same
was
to
older.
mine, yeah.
Yeah. And she'd get up and she'd make her breakfast. I don't know, maybe a hard-boiled egg or whatever, little piece of toast, whatever she ate. Wasn't much. And if she didn't finish the toast, I swear, she would take the toast, Greg. She'd open up a paper towel.
I knew he was going to say that, yeah.
She would put the toast in the paper towel.
And in a pocket.
Fold it over and put the fucking toast away for tomorrow.
I love it. That's a fucking old school Guinea, bro. That's the way they were.
Mm-hmm.
Don't throw anything out. It could have moss on it. She'd fucking scrape it off, right? It could have mold. It'd scrape it off.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, I think I was telling Joe last week when I was telling stories the other week that when I used to go to Brooklyn and I used to turn my grandmother's sink on for a glass of water, right? I remember putting the sink on and the pipes would be going, bop, 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 and like all this brown water be coming out of there. And my grandmother says, Jimmy, let it run a little bit. You know, it took like 5-10 minutes for the fucking brown to go away. And then all of a sudden it would turn white, you know, foamy white, the water, you know what I mean? It was like,
yeah.
Just, I remember the stand-up radiators in my grandmother's house.
Oh, yeah.
I used to sleep over there sometime. My mother used to leave me there. And she used to go with my father. Used to go away, whatever, and leave my grandmother. I remember laying in the bed, and these are things you remember when you were a kid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm laying in bed, and I hear the steam pipes going, you know, the radiators, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and it would bang, you know, bang, 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 you know. And I'd be honest with you, that fucking thing put me to sleep, bro. I'd be laying there listening to the steam. It was like, I don't know, it was something soothing about it.
Yeah.
It was just, it would just put me to sleep. You know?
Yeah. I got a super
my
chat here.
grandmother lived right on West 6th Street, so the windows were right there, and West 6th Street was right there. So, you know, the cars going by and the steam. I don't know, it was something spiritual about it. I don't know, the steam, the cars going by on West 6th Street. I don't know, man. I was a young kid. It was very impressionable, you know. It left a big impression on me, you know.
Steven left a super chat here. He said, Jimmy is an inspiration. I wish there was more footage of him in his prime. Where was his favorite place he ever gave a seminar?
That's a good question. My favorite place. I did a lot of seminars. But I have to say probably the most, I mean, they were all fun, but probably like at the Arnold Classic, you know, I did a seminar once with Anthony Clark. I don't know if you remember Anthony Clark.
I remember Anthony Clark with the bench pressing. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Anthony. Yeah. Strong son of a
I
bitch.
was at it, Jimmy. Jimmy did a seminar at a gym that I used to train at, World's Gym in Thornwood. And you were with Rita.
Yeah, Thornwood. I remember that.
You were in Thornwood. That was like 1981 or 82 or so. I don't know. It was like, not 82, 92.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 91, 92 when I trained it. Yeah, and you were there with that girl, Rita.
Yeah.
And she'd be you'd be benched doing all this crazy weights, and she'd be spotting you, and she was jacked. You know what I'm saying?
She was stealing my Anadrol, Greg.
I know. You told me that she's going your drush. You'd be like, "Where's my fucking Anadrol bottle?" And she'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
I used to leave my Anadrol there because I didn't want to leave it at my house. She was taking my fucking Anadrol.
But that made the clit like this, right, Jimmy?
Unbelievable. Yeah. It was
you
like
bite that and you go through the fucking ceiling.
It's like a little penis. So anyway, I used to bring it to some of the seminars, not all of them. But this one particular seminar, I think it might have been that gym in Thornwood.
World's Gym, Thornwood. I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on one end of the bench, the gym, and I started talking. You know, I used to talk and bench, and, you know, I used to do a whole thing. I didn't just bench, and I make jokes and talk and answer questions and then do another set. And I made a whole theatrical thing out of the fucking thing, right? So I always considered myself like an entertainer. You know, I was a strength athlete, but I always like joked. You know, we did it at Bob's place, and I used to joke
yeah.
You know, and that's how you had the microphone. I used to MC my own show and shit.
Yeah, I was there. I spotted Jimmy. Let me tell you something. I spotted Jimmy on stage, and he had like fucking 600 pounds, and he did reverse bench, and they left me alone. It was just me and Jimmy, and I was like, please Christ, please God, don't let Jimmy get stuck or any of that shit. And fucking Jimmy said, don't worry about it. And he took the like 3 reps. He did 3 reps, reverse grip bench. I did. And I was like, gee, thank you, God, because I was afraid if he got stuck with him, I can't pull that off him. I can't like upright row 600 fucking pounds, but he did it.
Yeah. We were on the stage when we did that.
Yeah, we did it on stage. It was I might have been, was it the women's extravaganza? Was it
the women's extravaganza? Yeah.
Holy shit! I was like, please God. Jimmy was like, don't
Bob
worry
called
about
me
it.
up. He said, can you please come and you know, he invited me, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, Bob, you know, I'll come, you know.
They left me alone, Joe. They left me alone. It's just like fucking, I don't remember how it was. But they left me alone. And I was like, holy fuck, but what if, you know, that's 600 fucking pounds? Jimmy goes, don't worry about it. And I was like, please God.
It was just me and you. Yeah.
3 reps, like this, though. Reverse.
Yeah,
wow.
I remember that.
We're like 600 pounds, reverse grip. I swear to God, he did it on stage. There's a whole fucking auditorium full of people. He did it fucking like.
There's a lot of people there.
I was like, holy Christ. I was expecting maybe 1 strong rep, but he did 3. I was there. I mean, I spotted him.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was by myself. I was like, are you fucking really going to leave me? Because, like, what am I supposed to do if he gets stuck? I can't upright row 600 fucking pounds. I can't even move that.
Yeah.
But he did it like ease.
So it was fun because I was emceeing the show. I was making jokes with you, and you know, I did the sets, and people love that shit, man. Because I added like entertainment into it and stuff, you know. So
oh yeah, man, that was
just it wasn't just weightlifting, you know.
Yeah, but you handled that shit. I was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe, you know. You did it you were fucking so strong.
One of the seminars I did, Greg, was in Staten Island. I told the story before. I went to this Gold's Gym in Staten Island. I did a bench seminar there, right? So anyway, make a long story short, I'm talking to everybody. You know, they had it roped off the bench, and I'm started doing the bench, and I'm talking to everybody. I always talked with everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm going up and up and up on the bench, and then I grabbed this guy. I said, you know, would you mind spotting me? You know. So that's the other thing. Like, I didn't travel around with a designated spotter. I grabbed somebody in the gym, you know what I mean? So anyway, the guy spotted me, and I'm doing like 6, and then I did like 7, and then I was getting up, talking on the microphone, and people were like really into it. And then I went up to like 765. I don't know what it was, 855 maybe. I think maybe 855. And I took it off. I had the guy spot me, and I took the weight off, and I came down. And I pushed it up, right? And I'm saying to myself, I feel fucking strong, man. So I did another one, right? You know, I get the second one. I should have stopped there, but I was like, you know, I feel fucking good. So I went for the third one, right? I ran out of gas, bro. The guy that was spotting me, it went right down. The guy's hands were stuck. The fucking bar on my chest. His hands were pinned on my chest. So now my chest is sinking. I got fucking 855 on me, right? Everybody starts scrambling to get this fucking weight off me. And they start pulling the plates off the end, right? And I'm going like, I couldn't talk. So I was going like this, like, you know, don't do that, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna take the plates off.
It's gonna fly.
And they're gonna go like, you know, like, and it's gonna rip my ribs apart, you know. So I stopped them from doing that. So now what they started doing is they started like pulling the bar, you know, down, right? So it was under the bar was sitting here, my breadbasket, and then they started rolling the bar down like I was like pizza dough, and they're rolling the bar down all the way down to my belly button, right? It gets down to my belt line, and I'm holding my breath. I couldn't breathe, because if I would have exhaled, I would have been the end of me. So I was holding my breath because I was trying to keep everything hard, right? So now the bar gets down to my belt line, and I'm starting to feel all my organs coming out of my ass. Right?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they were pizza throwing me, man.
Was the guy's hand still stuck under there, like when you?
Yeah, he was still stuck. So I gave him my power strap, so he was strapped into the bar.
Yeah.
So he's rolling the bar down. He gets down to my belt line, and I feel shit starting to come out of my butt. Right? I'm like, oh my God, these guys are gonna fucking kill me. My guts are gonna come out of my ass. Right? It's gonna be a horrible death. I'm saying to myself, you know. So And I'm trying to say no. I got it on my belt, and I'm going no, no. So finally, all these guys, like 4 guys, that came over and they lifted the thing over my. They got it over my knee somehow. I don't know how they did it. And the guy that was strapped to the bar went flying over me. I remember seeing his body just fucking coming down. And when he flew over me, the poor guy, I had dumbbells laying over here. His fucking head went right into the dumbbell. He split his fucking head open, right? So he gets up. It looked like a car accident. The guys were laying all over the floor. The guy was bleeding from his head. I got up. I was holding my chest. I thought I broke all my ribs and everything. So anyway, I had to go to the hospital that night. But anyway.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I took myself to the hospital. I was embarrassed.
Did you have any damage? You didn't have any. Did you have damage?
I did an MRI. I actually bruised my organs. He saw bruises on my organs.
Holy shit.
But here's the funny thing. The guy, he might be even listening to the show. One time when I told the story one time before, he texted in. He said, I was the guy. So here's the guy bleeding to death because your head bleeds a lot, right? So he split his head open over here from the dumbbell, right? And he's bleeding. He's got the fucking rig. Then somebody gave him a towel. He's holding a towel. He's bleeding like a fuck. And he wanted an 8x10 for me, right? So after all that, right, Greg?
Oh,
said,
that's fucking
I said,
great.
No problem, brother. You want an 8x10? I signed the 8x10 like this, I said $10. Right? The guy's reaching his pocket, towel full of blood, everything, and he gives me the $10, and then I drove myself out of there. I went to the hospital, right? So on the way to the hospital, I'm saying to myself, I can't believe I just charged that guy $10 for the photo. The guy was spotting me, almost killed himself. He's bleeding. He cracked his fucking head open, and I'm charging him $10, for the photo. What the fuck am I thinking about, right? You know what I mean?
Not about him. Bull for Life.
Not about him. Yeah, exactly.
No. Bull for Life said, Jimmy, tell us someone you've met and was equal to your strength and toughness, and you said, wow, tough guy. Crazy. Who had the bull strength?
I gotta say, I mean, I never met anybody that had my strength, but I have met some people close. I mean, like there was a few people. I mean, like upper body, really not too many people. I mean,
I was involved in the sport then, and there was nobody that I knew of that was doing what Jimmy could do. I could be on, I'm not just saying because Jimmy's my friend. I'm just saying he was the guy. I mean, everybody knew that Jimmy, I mean, even again, when he was at World's Gym, I mean, he was fucking pushing weight. I did it we were on stage and he had 600 fucking pounds. He did it reverse. I mean,
I didn't
help him. I didn't touch I couldn't touch that bar.
Listen, I'm not tooting my own horn, Greg, but my upper body strength was like off the hook.
Dude, I know. I've seen you do it.
I wasn't never a dick about it either, man.
No.
Like some of these guys, they walk around in the gym, like even years ago, and they walk like you ask them a question and they act all badass and shit. Cause I don't know, I never understood that. I'm like, you lift weights, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make you a badass. You know what I mean?
No, but you were always a good guy. You were always approachable. Everybody loved you.
I lifted weights and I loved the strength thing because I loved it. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was a badass or a tough guy, or I just loved fucking lifting weights. You know what I mean? I started in the Marine Corps. I actually started before that, but then it expanded when I went in the Marine Corps because I had a really awesome. I trained in an airplane hangar with just equipment up the ass, and I just always loved it, man. And I always help people if they were doing something wrong in the gym and I saw it, I would go over there and I say, excuse me, can I show you a different way? And the guy would say, all right, yeah. And I'd show him a different way, not that I was being, maybe he liked his way. I don't know, but I showed him a different way anyway. I was never an asshole about it. I hate guys that lift that think they're,
right.
Let me tell you something. I arm wrestled this guy one time, when I was at my height, right, and strength. I was at a beer party at somebody's house, right? And everybody was talking about this little fucking midget guy that was an unbelievable arm wrestler, right? So I'm at the party hanging out, drinking, smoking, whatever. And everybody's like, yo, Jimmy, you got to arm wrestle this guy. That guy was a fucking midget. I'm like, come on, man. I don't want to arm wrestle.
I wasn't that midget, by the way. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I know. So, he was small. The guy was small. He was
I'm
small.
kidding.
Greg, he was shorter than you. He was a midget. So anyway,
Well, thank you.
make a long story short, I finally agreed. So they cleared the fucking coffee table off, and we get down, and I grabbed the guy. He was a little dude, man, and I was jacked at the time. And the guy was holding us. They let us go, and I started going with him. I felt right away that this guy was like a fucking steel pipe, man, And I was like, holy shit, this little fucking bastard, right? And then he just worked me, and I couldn't believe it, and I was like, fucking, he took me down, right? And I said, Joe, we got to do this again. I couldn't accept that he beat me, right? So we did it again. He got me, and here he is, and he's fucking going out, and he's fucking guy. I'm like looking at my arm going down, like, holy shit, this motherfucker. And I was, and I shook his hand after everybody was cheering the little guy on, and I was like, you never know, man. You can't judge a book by its cover. This guy did not look like he was going to even like take me down. And that fucking guy took me down, man, And so I was always very humble because, people are people. You never, you can't walk around like you're fucking, King Kong, man. You just can't. Because, I bounced for years. I can't tell you. It was always the little guys that were the fucking the badasses. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget. I was bouncing at Zanzibar or Xanadu. It was like a big club, and there was these two brothers, Italian guys. I still see the guy once in a while in the supermarket. He shakes my hand. I see him. This is going back when I was in my 20s, right? And all of a sudden, I'm in the bar. I was bouncing, but I was always drinking when I was bouncing too. I didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? So I go up to I'm by the bar, and these two brothers shake hands, like, and the one brother bit the other brother's hand. They were fucked up, and he bit him, and then the other brother hit him, and I was like, oh my God. So now all of a sudden this brawl breaks out, so I tried to grab the two. They were small. I tried to grab them. The both of them went for each leg, right? They were on the ground, hugging a leg each, right? So I'm walking out of the fucking club with these two guys on each leg. I'm trying to get out of the fucking club. The bar was going crazy. Everybody's fighting, and I got these two midgets on each leg, and I'm trying to walk out of the fucking bar with these guys, right? We get outside. It was like, had to be 20 people brawling. We all squeezed out the front door. The one brother fell on the bottom. Everybody piled on top of him. He cracked his fucking head open on the concrete, right? The cops showed up. It was a huge brawl. And it looked like a football, a tackle. So everybody started getting off the pile one by one, right? And there's the brother on the bottom, laying on the concrete with like a thing of blood coming out of his head. And his eyes are like open. I said, this fucking guy's dead, right? So the cops show up, the ambulance. The other brother was still fucking pissed off. They throw the brother in the ambulance with the other brother. And they start brawling in the fucking ambulance. As the ambulance is pulling away, I see them fucking going at it and through the window in the ambulance. And the guys in the white coats are trying to, these guys are crazy,
Oh, yeah.
So they were Masons, Greg. Both of them were bricklayers.
Oh, shit. That's the whole thing. Those Masons, forget about it. They'll carry fucking a ton of bricks up a ladder by themselves and shit,
Let me tell you, man, these guys, two little strong bastards, bro.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I still see them once in a while. I run into them like in a supermarket around, and I look at
They grab your legs? They grab your legs or no?
No. They're older now. Everybody's older now. So
yeah,
we look at each other
Mm-hmm.
and we just laugh. And then we shake hands. We're like, what's up, brother? He goes, how you been? All right. Yeah, good. Because actually we remember the story, right? Unbelievable. The club days were crazy. We were just talking about that today, a friend of mine. But the clubs it wasn't like it was years ago, man.
What was the one where didn't you fill in for one of your friends or somebody who's a bouncer and he had to go to the bathroom or something, and you stood at the door and you beat the shit out of somebody, and then when the guy came back to take your place or something, I don't know, what was it, like something like that, and they called the cops and they couldn't point you out because It was,
Oh yeah, that was that.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
That was Sundance. What happened was my friend Alex.
You were drunk or something. Yeah.
I was always drinking, man. So I was standing at the door with my friend Alex. It was the end of the night, so people were coming out of the bar, and Alex used to frisk everybody because people used to come out of the bar with beer bottles under their jackets, in the winter, right?
Mhm.
So they used to try to take the beer out of it. So Alex gave me the job with him to frisk people for the beer.
Oh God.
So this one guy comes out here, a long leather coat on. I was fucking lit, man. And I reached, I said, put your hands to your side, man. So he put his hand right, and I reach in there, and all of a sudden there's like Budweiser cans in his jacket, right? The fucking guy swings at me, So that was it, man. I started beating the shit out of this fucking guy. Then one of his friends started in, and Alex was beating the shit. Started turning to a brawl in front of the club. So the cops show up, and they finally get the one guy that I beat the shit out of, right? And they grab him and they go, who did this to you? Because the guy was bleeding all over the fucking place, right? He goes, I don't know. He goes, some big guy, 6'5" with a beard. I had no fucking beard. I was 5'10". You know what I mean? And he goes, come on. He goes, we're going to go. The cop says, take me to the crowd. We're going to find this guy. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm screwed, right? So the guy comes up to me, he passes me, looks at me, just keeps going because you're looking for a guy 6'5" with a beard, right? That's how fucked up he was, right? So they never found me, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, my God, man, thank God, the poor bastard.
That's
funny. Greg, I was telling Jimmy that I was talking to Ed Connors, and Ed Connors told me that Jimmy did about $6,000 worth of damage in his house. Ed said he came to the home and the door was wide open, beer bottles all over, glasses, windows broken. He said Jimmy left the place a fucking mess.
But Jimmy repaired it. Jimmy fixed it for him. Jimmy actually was like, I'm sorry. I did. You know what I mean?
I did.
He repaired it because Jimmy's got a big heart. Let me tell you something. I'm not just saying it because he's here. Jimmy has the biggest heart. He really does. He cares about people. He's a very loving guy. And, sometimes
I feel bad, about
you know what I mean? he does. He could beat the shit out of a guy and he'd be like, hey, shit, let me buy a beer. You know what I mean?
You know that story with me and Jimmy Quinn, right? I beat the shit out of this guy in front of Rosebuds down at Huntington Village.
No, what
this
happened?
Guy called me. He called me. I wasn't even a bouncer. I went down to go see Jimmy. Jimmy was bouncing. Jimmy will tell you the story too. So a little fight broke out. That's all we did back in the day was drink and fight. If you couldn't find a girl by 2 o'clock, you were brawling. You know what I mean? So the fight ended up outside, and I'm standing on the side. I wasn't even involved in the fight. I was just standing there, right? And the guy called me a bullheaded fuck, right?
Oh boy,
that was it, man. I unleashed on him. I started swinging at him, hitting him, got him in a headlock, and I tossed him, and I threw him, and his head. So there was a sign, a speed limit sign by the bar, and I grabbed him and I drove him into the speed limit sign with his head, and the fucking speed limit sign was going like this when I hit him with the fucking head. Jimmy was there. So anyway, his friends dragged him away, and the next day I called the bar. I got the owner on the phone. I knew the guy. I said, Joe, did you hear from anybody? I said, is that guy all right? So I called Jimmy. I called Jimmy up. I go, Jimmy, did you hear anything? Is that guy okay? He goes, yeah, I heard he's all right. I was worried about the guy. You know what I mean? Because I'm not like that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to beat the shit out.
Yeah. Didn't you beat people up in I think you got a phone call, Jimmy.
It's probably late.
That's a friend of mine in Virginia. He's on a fucking boat in Virginia. He's calling me. I don't know. Anyway, so I felt bad for the guy. You know what I mean? It happened another time at another strip club I was working at. Johnny Moya?
I know. That name sounds familiar. Yeah, was he a bodybuilder back in like the 80s and shit?
Yeah, he turned pro, Johnny Moya, right?
Yeah, I remember. Okay, now
I used to bounce with him at the giant strip club, right?
Okay.
So we used to have brawls all the time in that place, man. It was a huge club. I mean, it used to get like packed, right? It was a strip club. So anyway, one night this girl comes over to me. I was bouncing. It's one of the strippers. She says, Jimmy. She's crying. I go, what happened? He bit me on the ass. I said, he bit you on the ass? I said, who did this? The guy over there. You know? So I went over to the guy, you know. I said, listen, you know, now the club is loud. You can't, you know, in those days you could barely hear. You talk. You could be next to the guy this close, and you barely can hear the guy, right?
Mhm.
So I said, listen here, bro. I said, you can't be doing shit like that. I said, you bit the girl on the ass. He goes, I don't know what she's talking about. I said, no, don't bullshit me. I saw the teeth mark on her fucking ass. You bit her in the ass. I said, you do that shit one more time, you're fucking out of here. You know what I mean? Half hour later, I'm on. Now, this bar had 3 balconies. Had balcony 1, balcony 2, balcony 3, and then it had a huge bar in the middle, you know, huge. The girls used to come out from the middle of the bar, do their thing on the stage, and then go back in the door. You know, that's how this club was set up. It was a giant bar. So half hour later, the girl comes over to me. Same girl. I said, what happened now? He bit me on the. I said, he bit you on the ass again? So she shows me her ass, this teeth mark on her fucking ass, right?
Shit.
I said, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. So now I said, where is he? He's in the bathroom. So I told all the other bouncers, I said, get that fucking guy out of the club. I warned him. He bit the girl again. I said, I want him out of the fucking club. You know what I mean? So they went up to the bathroom. They went up the stairs, and they were all around the bathroom door. And they're all around the bathroom door. So I'm looking at him. I'm pacing on the floor. I go, what are you guys doing? I said, get him out of the fucking, throw him out of the club. You know, and he goes, they said, Jimmy, he's taking a leak. I said, leaking? I fucking ran up there. I pushed the guys aside. I run into the toilet. The guy was leaking in the urinal, right? I just grabbed him, man, and just tore him out of the urinal, man. The guy's penis was fucking still hanging out. He's peeing all over the fucking place, right? I fucking drag him outside. I throw him out the back door. He goes, I'm coming back with a gun. I said, yeah, thanks for the warning, you fucking asshole. I said, you're never coming to this fucking club again, right? Now a fucking brawl breaks out, all his friends. Now we're all brawling, right? So I'm grabbing all these guys by the back door. The guy was already outside the club. And all of a sudden, this guy grabs me from behind on my shoulder, right? Like, because I was trying to grab everybody. It was a big brawl. I turn around. I didn't even look, Greg. I turn around. I hit this guy right in the chest. Right. I turn around. I go, bang! Right, and you know, and it was this big, giant black guy.
Shit.
He was like 6. I'm no exaggeration. 6'5", 6'6", big, right? So as I turn around and I hit him in the chest, he backed up a couple of feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was at that point. I was like, it's too late now. I'm into it now.
Yeah, now it's on now.
I hit this guy. It's it, you know.
That's
so
it.
I had to turn it up, you know. I says, you want a piece of this motherfucker? I says, come on, motherfucker. I was just doing it out of fear at that point, you know. The guy was like, no, man. He goes, no, I don't want no fucking problem. I'm like, thank God. You know what I mean? I was actually worried at that point, you know.
That's fucking great.
John Klein sent in a super chat. He said, damn it, I'm 2 hours late. Sorry, guys. What's up, Bull, Greg, and Joe? Johnny Maya, decent bodybuilder. I remember him.
Joe, what was the story,
Johnny
Jimmy?
Moyer. Yeah,
I remember Johnny
Moyer.
Moyer.
The story I wanted to tell you about Johnny, right? We have this big brawl in the same club. Johnny was one of the bouncers, right? So as the brawl's heading out the front door, so it was like, you know, it's like you go through this hallway and then you make a left and it's another hallway and that takes you out the front door. So it's this big L long, you know, with walls. It was like a corridor, right? So we're working our way down a hallway, and this one guy got hit, and he fell on the floor right on the turn, right? So I feel bad for the guy, right? So I'm trying to help him up. As I'm helping him up, and you can, if you know Johnny, you can ask him the story, right? I'm helping him up. Here comes Johnny Moyer, man, running with those big fucking army boots. He steps right on the guy's fucking head. Boom, and he keeps going, right? So the guy, so I felt bad for the guy. So I'm trying to lift him up again. Johnny Moyer comes running the other way, steps on his fucking head again. Every time I tried to pick the guy up, Johnny Moyer came by with his boot on his fucking. Then I said, fuck it. I left the guy there. I said, I ain't doing this no more. I'm done with you. Johnny stepped on his head 3 times, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Crazy,
Yeah.
man.
Jimmy, what was the fucking story? I always get.
So the one guy, when I was in that brawl, I hit this other guy and he went flying through the girls' bathroom door. This is the dressing room where all the strippers, right? There was probably like 15 of them in there, right? So when I hit the guy, he went backwards and the door opened. There was a swinging door. He went through the door and he landed on the floor in the girls' bathroom. So now I go through the door to finish him off, whatever, right? I open the door and Greg, there's all the girls, man, half undressed, with heels on and shoes, and they're all stepping on the fucking guy.
Oh shit!
As I open the door, I see like 8 girls like stepping on his fucking.
Bro.
You're fucking crazy. Greg, I opened the door. I saw that. I closed the door. I went back in the bar. I'm like, they don't need me, man. They're killing this guy.
Bro, they're crazy with them heels. I used to work at the strip club for years. They'll beat guys in the head with the fucking heel.
I never forget. So here's another story. This girl, Linguini, right? That's her name. She always used to dress up in leather, right?
Linguini.
Yeah, that was her stage name, Linguini.
Yeah.
Her real name was Maria. She was a really nice person. I used to talk to her all the time. But anyway, she used to do that Matrix. What is that? When they whip the guys and chains and
dominatrix.
Yeah. So I had a bachelor party on my balcony, right? So the guy paid me. He gave me $300. I used to make a lot of money in this club, bro. I used to walk out of there $600-700 a night, right?
Nice.
So he calls me over. And he says, and he flips 3 bills out. He goes, just keep the girls coming, because they wanted to do lap dances to the bachelor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me the 300. I'm like, no problem, bro. So I went over to the DJ. I go, listen, do me a favor. I gave him 100. I says, just keep calling the girls up to the stage. This guy wants lap dances, right? No problem. This guy, Nicky, he was a cool guy. So the girls kept coming up, So Linguini finally comes up. So she blindfolds the guy. He's sitting in his chair. She tied him up a little bit, and she put a blindfold on. And now she's doing a whole lap dance, gig. All the bachelor party was watching. They're all around the chair and they're all cheering on. And she's she's putting the heel in his leg and his balls, and she's doing the whole matrix. What do they call that again?
Dominatrix.
She's doing the heel in his nuts, and she's the guy's just absorbing it all. So now she's got a whip. And she starts whipping him, lightly.
Keep telling me. Good.
Yeah, the guy was enduring this. I guess he was enjoying it. I don't know.
I would be enjoying it too, nothing on, but good.
Oh yeah, so Linguini's whipping the guy. He's tied up, blindfolded, and now I'm watching this, right? And I'm there a long time, man. I'm sick of this shit. You know what I mean? I can't stand strippers. I can't stand dances. I'm there so long. I'm fucking so numb to this shit. I just can't wait till the night's over and I make my fucking money and get the fuck out of here. I couldn't give a fuck about this shit, right?
I did the same shit.
She's whipping the guy, right? So I walk over to Maria, Linguini, and I stop her and I says, "Give me the whip," So she gives me the whip. Right, this is a true story, Greg. Right? So I grab the whip. Now the music's blasting, She gives me the whip, and I start whipping this guy, Greg, for real, right?
Yeah.
I'm going like, whap, whap, and the guys in the chair, all his friends are cheering on, but I'm the guy that's whipping the motherfucker.
He thinks it's her.
He's in the chair going like this, like, oh, and I'm fucking whipping his ass with the fucking whip. I'm so sick of this shit. I wanted to kill this fucking guy with the whip, you know what I mean? So then Linguini, she finally, she came over after like 4 or 5 whips. She came over, she took the whip, Oh my God.
He probably had the hard out of his life too.
I tell you, his friends were loving it though. I was beating the shit out of this guy with the whip. And all his friends were cheering him on, If the guy only knew it was me whipping the shit out of him, not the green, you know what I mean?
He probably had the heart. She probably got a big tip from him after that.
Oh, forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
What was the one with you with fucking some blow up doll or something at a party? Remember? I don't know. It was a story about you doing something.
Yeah, I did some fucked up shit.
That was funny though. You did some funny shit like that.
I ask God for forgiveness every day when I get
Nah, God loves it. Are you kidding me? Yeah. You got flavor. You understand?
What happened was my cousin got married, Kathy, to my friend, one of my best friends, Duke, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were at the wedding. I forget where it was.
I love this story.
And I was with my girlfriend Kim at the time. She was a fucking wacko. So I got a big bag of Coke for the party, So me and Kim are doing the coke, and then my friend Eric, he came over. I had a huge bag. I don't even know what I had, like 2, 3 8-balls. It was huge, So now I'm coking everybody up, if you guys, and they follow me now. Now I got them like hooked on the coke. Now you know how it is. They get like fiendish, right? They want more coke. So now they follow me all over the fucking place. I go in the bathroom. They're all at the fucking door. They want more coke, right? So I'm like, fuck this. So me and my girlfriend, we split. We snuck out of there because these guys, they were like hunting us down for the coke, right? So I go to my friend's house, the apartment, and we go upstairs. And we're doing I should probably be embarrassed telling these stories, but anyway, not that.
We all done fucked up.
We all fucking done crazy shit.
I've done.
So I'm doing the coke, and me and her are fucking around. I'm doing the coke, and that stuff's like sex shit. That fucking cocaine, So I find a blow-up doll in my friend's closet, right? I'm like, what the fuck is he doing with a blow-up doll? And my friend Duke, he's married to my cousin. He got a blow-up doll in the closet, right? I'm like, what is he doing? Fucking the blow-up doll, and he's with my cousin. It was kind of weird, you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know what got into me, Greg. I take the blow-up doll. I'm banging the blow-up doll. My girlfriend's reaching underneath, grabbing my manolas. So now I see out the window. I see the party coming, all the wedding party. And I throw the doll out the window, and I'm banging the fucking doll with the hair hanging out the window. My cousin pulls up. She was mortified. Here's her cousin.
They can see him up
banging the blow-up doll out the window. You know what I mean? Like, Duke probably didn't want anybody to know he had a fucking blow-up doll. Here I am banging the fucking thing hanging out his window in the apartment. You know what I mean?
They could see him doing it.
Believe me, it started a lot of problems. My cousin was pissed off.
The question is, did you spark him in that blow-up doll?
Of course. It's like, Duke was mad at me. Like, he didn't talk to me for fucking months after that, because I banged his blow-up doll. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Did he have to get a new one? Did that blow-up doll come home with you?
No, I left it on his floor. I just split, you know what I mean? So,
dude, can you imagine if Lee Priest was there and he was fucking lit? Forget about it.
Yeah, if Lee was there, forget it. Yeah.
Forget about it. That blow-up doll would have got it in the mouth, and he would have popped it.
Yeah, we would have gangbanged.
He would have popped it.
Yeah. All right, guys.
My cousin didn't talk to me for like fucking months after that, man.
That's a great story, though. I could just picture you look up at the window.
It wasn't the blow-up doll. It was because I exposed her husband.
Right? They knew it was his thing.
Like in other words, what the fuck is wrong with you that you got a blow-up doll in the fucking closet, and now my cousin is banging your blow-up doll out the window as the wedding party's pulling up in the cars. You know what I mean? But
I hope he washed out the hole.
Surprise.
Yeah, you imagine pulling up to a fucking house and seeing this blow-up doll on the second floor out the window and the hair's going like that, and you see me behind the fucking.
And Jimmy's all jacked up and big, smacking it.
Yeah. I tell you, man, I don't know. I don't know.
And then he has to find out it's his. She's got to find out it's his. She's like, oh, it's mine.
I did some crazy shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I even thought of all of this shit. You know what I mean? Like,
you're fucking nuts, Jimmy.
You don't think about it. It's like things that happen with me. It just happens. You know what I mean?
Greg, it just happens.
It just happens. It's not planned.
I don't fucking plan any of this shit out.
If you tried to plan it, it wouldn't happen. But the fact that you didn't plan it, like I always say, I live in a matrix where 2 and 2 isn't 4. It's some abstract number that nobody's ever heard of. It's just a different fucking, and that's what Jimmy. It's like, shit just happens. If you tried to do that, it wouldn't happen. If you planned that.
I mean, I tell people, what goes on in my life. They get, a couple of my cousins, like they had like real, they worked in the airport and they like every day grind, they're actually in good shape now. I'm not, but anyway, when I traveled and for Metrics and Twin Lab, and I used to tell them all my stories. They lived through me, with the stories. They'd love. I used to come home. They go, tell me some stories, and I used to tell them about my trip. and all the shit that used to go on, you know.
But it's never planned though. You just say, let's go to a club tonight. And before you know it, that let's go to a club turns into some fucking sex or fights and this and crazy shit. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
It's never planned. It just happens, you know?
Yeah. All right, guys.
And I got to tell you, like, the unplanned stuff is like
the best.
It really is, man. It's like when you don't plan shit,
It's crazy. Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know.
All right, guys. Well, we've been on for 2.5 hours, you know, and I know.
No fucking way.
Yeah, we've been on a long time, Jimmy. 2.5 hours.
Are you kidding me?
2.5 hours, Jimmy.
2.5 hours.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 2.5 hours, man. I can go another 20 minutes, but that's about it, man.
I thought it was like an hour and 15 minutes. Or
goes
something
by
like
quick, right? Goes by quick.
Yeah, it goes by quick. That's even when Joe and I do the show. Sometimes Joe's like, okay, that's it. And I'm like, we've been on 15 minutes. And then I look and it's like, holy shit, it is. It's over an hour.
It's over an hour, man. People, we have a
good time. Because I didn't even really get into the Marine Corps stories. The stories I got when the Marine Corps, the shit they did out in the field in North Carolina. And,
everyone wants us to do it again.
With the fucking bears and the guy, my friend with the WMs, he left the colonel. He was supposed to. Well, I guess I'll save that story with the
part 3.
Yeah, part 3. We can do part 3. We can all 3 of us come on part 3 next week. You know, if you guys are
I love it.
Great. People love you guys. They love the stories, man. Jimmy, you got 100 people in here writing everything. They love you.
If you guys knew Jimmy, Jimmy's such a fucking good guy. You know what I mean? As big and tough
all
as
true stories. I mean, like I got, you know, I lived very, you know, I mean, the life I lived, it was.
Yeah, but you have as badass as you are, your heart is fucking huge. You have the biggest heart, bro. You are such a good man.
Yeah, but you know what,
I mean?
Greg,
really
I gotta tell you something.
Man.
Sometimes that gets you in a lot of trouble, man, because
because people shit on you, and it makes you, you know what I mean, the wrong people that fucking take advantage. The people that you trust the most sticking in your ass. You know what I'm saying? I hate that. But you know what? Be good anyway, right? Be good anyway, because that's it's not in you to be a prick, you know?
You know, my brother always tells me, he goes, Jimmy, what's wrong with you, man? He goes, you're too fucking good. You're too nice. I said, listen, you know, I was raised by an Italian mother and my grandma. Maybe my grandmother was a little hardcore. You know, I was raised by them, you know, so I don't have that, that I don't know, killer instinct, fucking fuck you. I don't have that out. I'm very,
no, you could beat the shit out of You could beat the shit out of a guy and it feel really bad about it. Fucking 5 minutes.
I feel bad about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I'm not like that. You know, like my whole life, you know, I worked very hard. You know, I'm paying the price today now, like my back, my shoulder. You know, I got some, you know, numb feet. I got some issues going on, man. But you know, I put out, man. I burned very brightly in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm really surprised that I made it to this age. I never thought I was going to make it to 66. But you know, here I am. I'm still going. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. Still training. You know, the fucking doctor at the VA told me I got to give up weight training because of my shoulder. I'm like, fuck you. I ain't giving up training. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. You know,
tell me to give up being a doctor.
Yeah, I was like, what are you out of your mind? You know, you're like, oh, you can lift maybe, you know, after the surgery, maybe you can lift 15 pounds. 15 pounds. I said, you know what you're telling me right now? 15 pounds? I said, it didn't happen. And I ain't getting no shoulder replacement. I said, forget it. And I walked out the door.
Jimmy, you still could probably push a lot.
I said, yeah, I'll come back in 6 months.
Jimmy, you still could probably push a lot? You could push a lot, you think? Push a lot of weight, you think, still, if you want to?
What I do is I do the forced reps now. So, like, I could do like up to 315, maybe 365. If I have my friend John give me a little spot, I could squeeze a couple out of it, you know. And then I don't really go any higher than that.
Okay.
And then I like to drop the weight like back down to 185 or something, and just do like 20, 25, you know, as many reps as I can to fill, you know. I'm not in the shape I was in, Joe.
I spotted him on stage in front of a fucking packed auditorium. I was by myself saying, please Christ. And it was, I think 600 pounds, reverse grip. And he did 3 reps with it. I was praying to God, let him get the 1 rep. And then when he went back down and went up and back, I was like, holy shit. Because Bob Bonham left me with him. And I'm like, you know, he got me out there by myself. He's got fucking 600 pounds on the bar. He's doing it backwards. He's not even doing it like this. He did it. He did 3 reps with it. I swear to Christ. Jimmy.
Bob was a great guy, man.
Yeah, Bob was a great guy. But you know what Bob told me? I knew he was Jimmy's going to do it. He, I knew he, Bob knew that he was going to do it. Like they didn't need me. I was just there for like, moral support almost. Like make it, when you have a spotter, sometimes a guy goes to help you and you push it right out of his hands because it's in your mind. But he didn't need guys on each side. He did it on his own.
Well, when I did the 2015, Greg, I needed a fucking spotter.
Well, 2015, but still.
That's a lot of fun.
You're talking, you did the reverse.
Yeah, I did that at Bob's show. Yeah, but I didn't do that too much because Anthony Clark used to do the reverse grip too.
I remember Anthony Clark.
That's a dangerous movement because, like, the bar can roll.
Yeah.
Right out of the hands, man. And you don't want that weight hitting you in the neck or the chest with that kind of stuff.
I was worried because they left me alone. Did you remember?
Yeah, it was just me and you on the stage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't curl it off from a pull. How am I going to pull that up? But he did it, no problem. And Bob Bottom told me, don't worry about it. I know he's going to do it. He's done it before. So, Jimmy was
I used to say that all the time, Greg. People, because, back in the day when I was doing all that, people would say, oh, the guy's pulling it up. I said, that's fucking 800 pounds.
Nobody listen to me.
How the fuck is a guy leaning over the bench behind you?
Nobody.
Upright, 800 fucking pounds. I said, I tell you the truth, man. I'd like to put 185 in a bar, and you lean over the bench and just try to pick up the 185.
Yeah, upright row it. Yeah,
just try to, on an arch position, like in this position, Greg. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
bent over. You can't.
Right?
Do that.
Yeah. I mean, come on,
dude. That's what I was worried about. But he didn't fucking. I didn't have to touch. I did not touch the fucking bar. He did it. I put my hands over. He just did it. He did it. He did 3 reps with it. 3 reps.
I told you that story about hot stuff, right? When Tom Ciola wanted me to work for him, and I flew down to Florida.
I knew Tom Ciola. Yeah. What happened?
What happened to hot stuff?
What, Joe?
What happened?
Tell the story.
Yeah, the hot stuff. Yeah, so a friend of mine had a restaurant in Florida, and they were friends with Tom Ciola. So my friend told Tom Ciola about me, right? Because I was up here in New York, doing my thing.
I remember.
So a lot of people didn't know me at that time, just like neighborhood, people and shit. So my friend goes down to Florida and he's telling Tom Ciola, he goes, you got to see my friend up in New York. He's a fucking animal. He benches this, he benches that. So they called me up. I flew down to Florida, and Tom wanted to sign me to a contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do strength demos. Okay. So he wanted to call me the Golden Boy. I didn't really like that name too much. I mean, but I was like, all right, because it was would have been like my first contract,
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to accept the name the Golden Boy, but I always picture myself in a bathtub and everybody pissing on me. I wasn't really, apt about the fucking Golden Boy.
Maybe a few hot chicks you wouldn't mind, but not us guys.
Yeah. So anyway, make a long story short, fast forward, he told me that he wanted me to come back to Florida and break the world record at my body weight, which was 6 something, right?
Right.
At that time, I weighed I think it was 215 or whatever I was, maybe even lighter. So anyway, I went home and I trained, and then I flew back down to Florida, and I stayed at Mike Quinn's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before I met Tom Ciola to do the bench, I went out and I partied at Club Boca with Barry DeMay, Mike Quinn, some of his friends from England came out, right? And then there was that other guy, he was a crazy motherfucker. He was doing acid, doing squats. I talked about it on Dave's show once. He used to do gay porn and shit. Big bodybuilder guy, crazy. He was crazy.
Don't know.
I'm trying to think. I would know who the hell. Wait a minute. Was he a white guy?
Yeah. The way he used to do gay porn and shit. And one time he was at the gym at Mike's gym. He was dropping.
Wait, not a Chris Duffy.
Yeah, that's
Chris
the guy.
Duffy.
Yeah,
Christian Duffy.
Yeah, that's the guy. Out of his mind. His girlfriend was nuts too, bro.
Joni Pavino. Joni Pavino.
She was crazy.
That was his girl. Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe you know that.
I saw him with guys though. I was in a city with that Johnny Latz, and he'd be bringing. But go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. So we went all out to Club Boca. We almost got in a big brawl. I'm in the car with Barry DeMay. He don't remember the story. He probably doesn't want to remember it, but I don't know where we were coming from the club, going back to Mike's house. I don't know where. And we're driving in Florida on the highway, and the 2 girls were in the front, me and Barry were in the back. Barry was drinking beer. I mean, he was these tall boys. He was just cracking them. You know, he's from Holland. You know, those guys from Holland, man.
I know Barry. Yep.
Yeah, he was just sucking down the beers, crushing the throat, getting another. I mean, like one after another. The tall boys, right? I'm like, how the fuck is he doing that? You know? So all of a sudden, he was throwing the beer cans out the window. So anyway, Florida State Trooper throws his lights on, right?
Oh shit.
Yeah. So we start pulling. We're all bombed.
Mm-hmm.
Even the two girls that were driving the car. So now down in Florida, when the cops come behind you and they throw the lights on, right? Those roads in Florida, Greg, are squeaky clean, bro. Right? I mean, flat, no potholes like over here.
Right,
You know,
like New York.
like a super clean street, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
we pull over. The girl reaches in her brassiere and she throws a bag of coke out the fucking window. Right? I didn't even know she had it on her. So now I'm like, that's it, we're finished. You know what I mean? So Barry was yelling at her and screaming at her, you know, you stupid bitch, why did you shove the thing in your pussy? You stupid man, you know, and I'm
shoving in your pussy.
Yeah, and I'm in the, you know, with his accent, and I'm sitting in the back seat going, oh my God, we're fucking done, man. State Trooper, Florida, bag of coke out the window. That's it, we're done. You know. So anyway, it was a female state trooper. So she pulls Barry out of the car. And Barry, we're all sitting in the car, and Barry's doing the fucking the test, you know, with the state trooper.
Oh
right?
boy.
So we're all sitting in the car. He's in the back with this female state trooper, and he's doing the thing, and he's walking the line through all this shit. Right? I'm in the back seat praying like this, you know. So all of a sudden he gets back in the car, and he says, "Let's go." The state trooper let us go, right? And I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" You know, like. You know, she didn't see the bag go out the window, obviously, you know, and the drinking. Barry did the test, and he was like, I said, how'd you do the test, Barry? He said he told me I was just going, fuck you, like he was being like in his mind, real belligerent, you know, like doing. Plus, Barry was a very good looking man. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, he was tall too. Yeah,
tall, very
good looking
blonde
guy. Yeah,
very good looking, and happened to be a female state trooper. She let us go. You know.
Wow.
So, shit. Really?
I told Barry that story, but he don't remember the story.
Because he was probably lit.
Yeah, I forget about it. You know.
Wow.
And then so the very next day, we did the grand opening of Gold's Gym in West Palm Gardens for Mike Quinn's gym. Gold's Gym. He opened up a Gold's Gym. So I had a fucking hangover, bro. I didn't even know how I was gonna do this bench seminar, man. So I showed up 8 a.m. My head was banging from all the alcohol and all that shit. And I winded up, the guy from England, Mike Quinn's friend, spotted me on the bench. There was a shitload of people there. I was smelling like alcohol, right? And I did this 8-change bench press, man. I don't know how the fuck I did it. I did the bench. Everybody was clapping. And I really don't even know how I did it, man. So then I ended up going the next day to go meet Tom Ciola to do the world record. Right.
I remember Tom. Yeah.
Huh?
I remember Tom Ciola. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Ciola. Right. Yeah, he was a little strange, you know.
Oh, he was very strange.
Yeah, and then the guy that was marrying his daughter was Belknap. Tim Belknap.
Tim Belknap.
What is it?
Tim Belknap. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim. Yeah, he married Tom Ciola's daughter. Right.
He was a weird fuck. Yeah. I remember he had one time I was with him. He had shingles all on the back of his neck. Mass like this, the shingles. Oof.
Yeah, he was.
But go ahead.
He was strange.
Very strange.
So I show up at the gymnasium. Tom was going to give me a check for $2,500, and the girl that worked for him was a very nice girl. She was a very nice girl. Her name was Pamela. I'll never forget her. She was like Tom's assistant, right?
Okay.
So I show up at the gym to do this official bench record, right? So I show up there. Anthony Clark was there.
Fuck.
Ted Arcidi?
Ted Arcidi was there. Matter of fact, did he tell you that story?
Yes, he did. He told me.
He did.
I think Anthony Clark passed away, right? Didn't he?
That's why I know he was there.
Ed Cohen.
Ed Cohen. That's a fucking old school. Yep.
Bro, They were all there in the gym.
They're all power lifters.
Yeah, all power lifters, right? And here I come, still kind of hungover. I walk in the gym, right, and there's the bench set up, and all these guys, Ed Cohen, Ted Arcidi, I don't think Bill Kazmaier was there, but it was like a lot of heavy powerlifting guys.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Cohen probably remembers too. He was there, So anyway, I go, where's the official guys with the lights? When you go to official bench meet.
Yes.
And they'll tell you to lift, and you lift the bench off, and you come down. You got to pause it. They clap,
and then you push up.
Push up, and then you rack it, and then they either do a green light or a red light. Means
good.
So they weren't there. So I at that time I really wanted this to be official. I'm glad I never did it. But anyway, I says, where's the official guys, Tom? Where are they? He says, well, he goes, you really don't need them. With this crowd here is good enough, I said, no, I respect everybody that's here. I said, but this is not official. I want an official record, and I need the guys there with the fucking lights and shit. They're not here. He goes, well, Ed Cohen and Ted Arcidi. He goes, these guys are, Anthony Clark. I said, nah, there's no fucking way. I'm not doing this bench unless it's a fucking official, man. He goes, well, just do it there. I said, no fucking way. Fuck you. I walk out of the gym. I was with Rita at that time. Anyway, I went down.
Oh, shit.
I went down to down a few blocks. I hit a gym there, and I took the weight that I was supposed to do for the world record, and I just fucking cranked it I was so pissed. I just banged it like once or twice in the gym and racked it. I would have been the world record over there, but I did it in the gym. I just wanted to let heat off. I was so angry,
I remember you being with Rita in World's Gym. She was a definitely an unusual woman. She was built and jacked and like sexy and all that shit.
So when I did that thing in that Yorktown, that gym, what was that gym?
Thornwood.
Right,
Thornwood, World's Gym.
I brought it to one or two of my seminars.
Yeah, she was there. I was there too. Yeah.
She was cool in the beginning. She just hung out. But this particular seminar, I'm benching. I started my bench routine on one end of the gym. Rita was on the other end of the gym, and she started doing bench, right?
And everybody went over to her.
Right, I told you the story, right?
No, I think I was there. Wait a minute. Holy fuck. I was there. That was the World's Gym Thornwood.
Yeah, Greg, I was so pissed off because the crowd was around me. I was doing, and all of a sudden, there was like two people around me, right? And I had like 800 on the bench. She had 365 on there. Some guy was spotting it, and the whole gym went over there.
Holy shit, I think I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm standing there with two people. And I'm like, what the fuck? I said, this is my seminar, not yours. I didn't say that, but I was thinking in my head, But later on, when we left, I was pissed. I said, that's the last time I take you to a fucking seminar.
You two were like Samson and Delilah, because she was like fucking. She was like, she was.
Bro, no exaggeration. Let me tell you, Greg, she used to do, no exaggeration, bro, laying down dumbbell presses with 120 at each fucking hand.
Jesus Christ, I believe it.
Doing dumbbell fucking presses with 120s in each hand. I was spotting her by the elbows. I was like, she was incredibly strong.
Dude, she looked like a goddess. Like, she had to have, she'd stand there and like, she'd be spotting you and shit.
Yeah, she
looked like one of those drawings, when you show like a muscle.
Yeah, she was her family was Arab. They were Arabs. So she had the black hair. She had a V shape with a fucking 18-inch waist. I mean,
I remember you and her look like Samson and Delilah. You two look like Samson and Delilah.
I couldn't believe what she stole my thunder at that seminar. And I told her when we left there and we were driving out of there, I said, this is the fucking last time I take you to a seminar. And I said, and I'm never leaving Anadrol at your fucking house again.
I remember now he's saying this.
Yeah. I said, you're cut off with the Anadrol. You're never going to fucking see a bottle of Anadrol again. Man.
She used to steal your Anadrol. She would go in your drawer. You'd be like, where's my fucking Anadrol?
Yeah.
She stole the bottle from my house. Then I left one out of her house just because for safekeeping, and she was taking my Anadrol out of there too, man. But look, I know she was taking the Anadrol, but that girl was strong. anyway. Even with
Yeah, but you guys look good together because you were so jacked and she was jacked and fucking with the hair and everything. You guys looked really, I remember that. That was, I think you were in that gym. It was like 93 or 94, something like that.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got to wrap up. It's kind of late.
Fucking strong, Greg.
Yeah, she was strong.
When she used to do, we used to train at Mike Terwilliger's place, Maximum Gym in Belmore. Right, it was off Merrick. It was off Merrick Boulevard or Merrick Avenue.
Yeah, that's Tom's twin brother.
Yeah, Mike Terwilliger and Tom Terwilliger. Remember?
They were twins.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Tom Terwilliger still lives in. I think he's in Colorado. He went out there to do a seminar. He never came back. And Mike is in New York and Florida, back and forth. But we used to train in his gym, and she used to do lat pull downs with fucking 200 pounds. I used to hold her by the shoulders while she was doing the rack, and then she would do the dumbbells with the 120s. The whole gym was watching. I was spotting her. I trained her, so I made her an animal. You know what I mean? But
dude, she looked like a Frank Frazetta drawing, like one of those drawings, like with like a Greek goddess, like they're fucking all built and jacked, but like kind of sexy though. You know what I'm saying? Like. She was definitely, I remember, now that you say that, I remember that was World's Gym where she was doing the benching. I remember it was in that first big room. She was there and you were over here. I remember that.
She was on the other side of the gym. She started
that was like 1994 or something like that, 93, 94.
She put one plate on, then she put 185, a 2 1/4. I didn't notice. I was over here with the people. 315. All of a sudden, 365 on there. And she starts, and little by little, everybody started walking over that way. And before you know it, after I did a set, I get up, there's 2 guys standing by me. I go, what the fuck happened? And I'm looking over there, and there's 40 people over there by her. She was doing a rope bench seminar.
she would break into Jimmy's drugstore, like his fucking juice stash, and he'd be like, where the fuck's my shit?
Yeah. She was.
Guys, I gotta wrap up. I gotta run. I'm going to bed.
All right. Sorry,
sorry. I mean, we're on almost 3 hours, and I gotta.
I'm sorry, brother.
It was fun. Thanks for pulling me out.
Let's do part 3 next week, you guys. All 3 of us again. People want to do more with us, but I gotta get to bed. Actually,
you gotta get your beauty sleep.
I gotta get some stuff. I gotta get up early tomorrow.
I got you.
But guys, I love you guys. Great.
Love you, Jimmy.
Great stuff. We're gonna have to talk some more. Jimmy, you're the best, man. Greg, thank you. We love you guys.
Thank you, man. I love you guys, both of you. Jimmy, Joe, I love you guys.
Too, Greg, Joe. All right.
Started from nothing. Jersey streets, we owned it. JerZey pumping iron. Bodybuilder coding. Beings on the course.